can't get the password out. So when they deliver it, we'll put that in. Correct, and we'll take it.
Oh, okay.
He's got. And the tweet is.
Right. Yeah, I don't know what to say. Yeah, man, we can't make people do it though.
No. 42.
Right.
42.
Right.
You know, you look at this place, and there two. Took me a while to see the next house.
Yep. Yeah, that's true.
Okay, let me know.
Commissioner Dodd.
It's okay. We do have a public comment this morning, and a Greg, you would step forward? Lisa,
Thank you.
the mics are on? Okay, thank you.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. My name is Greg Warner. I have property on County Ditch 42. The tiled portion of County Ditch 42 was installed to drain Center Lake for the purpose of tilling it and planting it. This has failed. The owners back in the 60s recognized this has failed. Draining of that 120-acre lake only produced marginal pasture land. Back in the 60s, the landowners asked that the lake be restored to its original level. Even though nothing happened in the 60s, it took till the 80s till something happened. The board asked the DNR to look at repairing the outlet of the lake and restoring the lake to benefit the wildlife. I've got some pages from those documents here. In the working session that was held for County Ditch 42 back in January of this year, one of the board members said that we needed to get this repair in to help the farmers. And I'm wondering who's actually being helped by this repair. The two people that have been most outspoken to get this repair done have been Delvin and Morris Durheim. Delvin has 10 tillable acres. None of them are in jeopardy of being flooded. None of them need the drainage. Morris works at a financial institution in Piers. All of the tillable land he has is being rented out. Again, none of it's in jeopardy of being flooded, and it doesn't need this drainage. Late last year, I'd started a petition to get an abandonment petition. The comment I got back from Dave Tomsky via email was that if the board decides to abandon the ditch, they have his support. While the petition had more than required number of signatures on it to move forward, our 100-year-old ditch law only requires one landowner to object to nullify that petition. If I look at the people who are willing to abandon that ditch, 2/3 of the land impacted by County Ditch 42 belong to those people. I do not believe we need to abandon, or we do not need to repair County Ditch 42. It serves little to no benefit. Even the ditch inspector agreed that the drainage doesn't serve any purpose for the Durheims. She wrote in the email, the purpose is not to provide drainage to the Durheims' land, which has sandy soil and does not need the line to drain the land, which is why most of the land was given a benefit amount by the viewers of 0 and would likely be the same today. There's been no good reason given why we should repair that line. In my opinion, we're making the same mistake that was made 100 years ago, and we're just adding an unnecessary financial liability to the next generation of farmers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you want copies of these emails and these pages?
Yes, we should get copies.
Can you get copies?
You can have them.
Maintain the ditches that were created. They're abandoned. You know? It sucks.
Will you please all stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'll go back to roll call. All commissioners are present, along with the auditor treasurer, coordinator, and county attorney. I'd ask for, are there any additions to the agenda?
I have none, Madam Chair.
I'd ask for a motion for the approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Noska, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Byers. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carries. Denise, consent?
Today's consent items are the meeting minute approval for April 16th, 2024 regular meeting and special board meetings. The summer hire help Brandon Klein, start date to be determined. Hire summer help Travis Muller, start date to be determined. Accept resignation of Haley Foote, part-time correctional officer, 4/16/2024. Accept resignation of Lori Mielitz, part-time correctional officer, 4/2/2024. Accept resignation of Preston Craker, full-time correctional officer, 4/21/2024. Accept resignation of Nathan Cruzilla, part-time deputy, 4/29/2024. Hire Parker Duncan, part-time seasonal recreational assistant, start date to be determined. Hire Eric Dahl, part-time seasonal recreational assistant, start date to be determined. Hire Nathan Benning, part-time seasonal recreational assistant, start date to be determined. Hire Ross Bolin, full-time correctional officer, start date 5/19/2024. Resignation of eligibility worker Matthew Dubeck, 5/7/2024. Resignation of eligibility worker Heather Ito, 5/14/2024. Resignation of Daniel York, full-time assistant county attorney, 5/1/2024. Gambling permit, the Church of St. Joseph's of Grey Eagle, 6/21/2024. Hire social worker Teresa James, start date to be determined.
Okay. I'll wait for the phone to be turned off. I'd ask anybody else if they have their phone on to please turn it off. Okay, thank you. I'd ask for a motion for the consent items.
So moved.
Motion by Byers, second by Newman. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carries. Next, we'll go to the Lake Osakis, to the establishment of the Lake Improvement District, or the LID.
Madam Chair, I will remove myself due to a conflict of interest.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Newman. And who's presenting?
I can read it. Resolution
Okay.
regarding petition of Osakis Lake Association to establish the Osakis Lake Improvement District LID. Background, on March 19th, 2024, the Todd County Board of Commissioners accepted the notification from the county auditor and acknowledged the receipt of the petition for a proposed Osakis LID Improvement District. At the same meeting, the board set the joint county Osakis LID public hearing to be held on Tuesday, April 16th, 2024, in accordance with Minnesota Statute 103B.521 requirements. Legal notification of the public hearing were provided by mail, email, website, and newspaper publications. All public comment correspondence received after the public hearing have been provided to the county board. Minnesota Statute 103B.521 subdivision 3 requires that within 30 days after holding the public hearing, the county board shall by order establish or deny the establishment of the petition LID Improvement District. The recommendations, and that I will leave up to you.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, would you like to have discussion, or?
Yeah, I would say so. That'd be a good idea right away.
Okay,
So I just got a question, and it's maybe for County Attorney Lindeman, if you have a moment for us here. I would like to ask, I mean, in my opinion, I see a lot of, I've seen a lot of support for it, and 51% or better signed the petition to approve it. Is there a chance that what I see maybe being an issue is for some of the absentee landowners, maybe not being able to attend the meetings when they need to approve expenditures. Is there a chance for us to make sure that that lid does something where people can vote remotely?
Thanks, Commissioner Noska. One of the takeaways that I had from the public hearing at the Osakis High School was about that specific question, and that is, what about proxy voting? Do you have to physically be there to vote? What is that procedure? The issue is that the petition is silent as to that. And so that's one of the unknowns in the current petition. So I can't give you an answer.
Right, so, I mean, at this point, can we have that petition modified a little bit before we make a decision on it? Is that something that we can require in that petition, or?
If the Todd County Board approves a petition that is different from the original petition, and more significantly different from the petition that Douglas County approves, then it's like Congress, the Senate and the House have to get together and figure out what the language is that's going to be sent to the president to sign. Okay. As Madam Auditor Treasurer already outlined, we have a 30-day window, and we could call a special session to, connect those dots and get the same language in both counties, but that's what it would take.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, today, we're voting on what is presented to us as of today.
Yes, unless the board will only approve a petition as the board chooses to modify it. But again, that creates issues with communicating and agreeing on those same modifications with Douglas County.
Madam Chair, I have attached the outlines that we have taken in. We had the petition, board action. We have the Osakis Lake Association's cover letter attached that were respondents back to our original questions that came from our county attorney, observations and concerns. And I think those are listed on the board action. And so I think maybe that's one of them that you could be speaking to, Commissioner Noska. I'm not sure, but there were some concerns that, John, if you wanted to speak on those, I do have those attached on here too.
Yeah, if you look at number 1, subparagraph B, subparagraph E, the proposed Osakis Lake Improvement District lacks specific practical guidelines and issues like proxy voting and how the Osakis Lake Improvement District would address concerns outlined. That maybe in concerns, there was some objection to that word. The things that were outlined in the DNR advisory report dated April 4th that should be included in the petition. Again, that wasn't clearly addressed at the public hearing, and so we're left with the petition as it is.
How much time do we have to make this?
I was going to speak that we also have to remember Douglas County is voting on this morning, and so we're unified on what was presented for our board hearings today. So just take that into consideration, that we can't be voting on something different than what they're presenting because we've been unified throughout the whole process of this.
It would create the issues that I outlined before, having to scramble to get the same language back in front of both boards within the 30 days. I don't think it's impossible, but it would be a scramble.
Okay.
If I may,
Yes.
Madam.
Commissioner Byers.
So I don't really, maybe it's a question, maybe it's a comment. I just want to go on record to say that I think it's, pretty commendable that we've got local people interested in making this lake a better lake. Very rarely do you see that. Some people take up arms to do that in this day and age. I do commend them for that. I also want to make the comment that one of the questions I had and that people have called me about, it's just for the other commissioners now that we're here in open meeting, is that I've had people ask me, what's the sunset on this? Like, what's the time frame? To me, I understand this to be an open-ended deal. So this goes on and perpetuity, or if I'm correct. Is that true, John?
Yeah, Commissioner Byers, as submitted, the petition has no sunset. There is a statute talking about, the unwinding or the dissolving of a lake improvement district, but yeah, there is no sunset in the petition itself.
Okay. At this point, I would ask for a motion for the resolution regarding the petition of Osakas Lake Association to establish improvement district, or a LID, as stated before us, is what we're voting on, I guess.
Well, I guess I'm going to make a motion to approve it because I've seen more support than denial.
Okay, motion by Nazca for approval. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Denny. And I think we'll do, I'll ask for any further discussion? Any further discussion? If not, we'll do a roll call vote.
Commissioner Nazca?
Yes.
Commissioner Denny?
Yes.
Commissioner Byers?
No.
Commissioner Becker?
No.
Then that is a no pass.
Okay,
Votes 2 and 2 votes against, the motion fails.
the motion fails then, John?
You would need 3 to have
Okay.
it pass.
Excuse me, more discussion if I may, Commissioner Becker? John, is there an option for them to reapply with better terms and conditions?
The statute contemplates upon a denial by one or both boards of commissioner, they could go to the DNR and have it approved that way. But yeah, the statute doesn't contemplate a second bite of the apple going through this process, all the public hearing and everything that
Right.
Auditor Treasurer outlined.
John, do we have to have a reason for denials, or do we? Or did we state enough already for reason for denial?
I think with something like this, it would be proper to come up with a resolution. It doesn't have to be, necessarily, put on the record right now. I mean, the commissioners have stated their reasons for and against. But what's significant for today is the fact that a majority of the board did not approve it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the next item of business we'll go on to will be the auditor treasurer, auditor warrants.
We're going to get Randy back.
Oh, we should maybe bring him back. Oh, here.
I was gonna grab this.
We'll just do a 5-minute break till Randy gets here.
Okay.
Sounds good.
What did they say? Oh, I was just gonna ask.
I'm good, how are you? Yep, absolutely.
Okay, we'll go ahead and start. We'll do auditor warrants.
Yes, today auditor warrants for April 2024. Background was sent for your review. The recommendation is to approve the auditor warrants with an ACH and a manual payment totaling the amount of $1,636,813.89.
Okay, is there a motion and we don't have a screen up here, for the auditor warrants.
So moved.
Motion by Newman, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Denny. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, we'll do roll call.
Commissioner Newman,
Yes.
Commissioner Denny,
Yes.
Commissioner Naska,
Yes.
Commissioner Byers,
Yes.
Commissioner Becker.
Yes. Next is commissioner warrants.
Approving the commissioner warrants today, background is sent for your review, and the recommendation is to approve the commissioner warrants with an ACH and a manual payment totaling the amount of $87,120.30.
Okay, is there a motion for the commissioner warrants?
So moved. I'll second.
Motion by Denny.
Yeah.
Second by Naska. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, we'll do roll call.
Commissioner Denny,
Yes.
Commissioner Naska,
Yes.
Commissioner Byers,
Yes.
Commissioner Newman,
Yes.
Commissioner Becker.
Yes.
On to the Health and Human Service Commissioner warrants. Background is sent for your review. Recommendation is to approve the Health and Human Service Commissioner warrants with an ACH and a manual payment totaling the amount of $70,094.69.
Okay, I'll ask for a motion for the Health and Human Service Commissioner warrants.
So moved.
Motion by Byers, second.
Second.
Second by Newman. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, roll call.
Commissioner Byers,
Yes.
Commissioner Newman,
Yes.
Commissioner Denny,
Yes.
Commissioner Naska,
Yes.
Commissioner Becker.
Yes.
The next item I have is the Health and Human Service SSIS warrants. Background is sent for your review. Recommendation is to approve the Health and Human Service SSIS warrants with an ACH and a manual payment totaling in the amount of $128,273.04.
I'll ask for a motion for the Health and Human Services SSIS warrants.
So moved.
Motion by Byers, second.
Second.
Second by Naska. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, roll call.
Commissioner Byers,
Yes.
Commissioner Naska,
Yes.
Commissioner Denny,
Yes.
Commissioner Newman,
Yes.
Commissioner Becker.
Yes.
The next item we have then is the 2024 Memorial Day appropriations. The Todd County has included in the 2024 budget annual appropriations to aid in the observance of the Memorial Day within the perimeters of Minnesota Statute 375.34 and 375.35. Your options are to adopt the attached resolution or do not adopt, and the recommendation is to adopt the attached resolution for the 2024 Memorial Day appropriations to organizations within Todd County. And it's a financial implication of $1,200, and it is a budgeted item.
Okay. I'd ask for a motion for Memorial Day appropriations.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Denny, second by Newman. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carries.
Next item I have is the 2024 Senior Citizen Center appropriations. Background, Todd County has included in the 2024 budget annual appropriations to senior citizen centers within its boundaries. Your options are to adopt the attached resolution or do not adopt it, and the recommendation is to adopt the attached resolution for the 2024 Senior Citizens Center appropriations to organizations within Todd County. It's a budgeted item. Financial implication is $1,200.
Okay, I'd ask for a motion for the senior citizen appropriations.
So moved.
Motion by Naska, second by Byers. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carries.
The next item I have would be the Sauk River Watershed Board of Managers appointment. Some background on it. The Todd County Board of Commissioners are seeking applicants for appointment to the Sauk River Watershed District Board of Managers for the regular 3-year term set to begin on July 1, 2024. The position has been advertised in the county newspapers and applicant information received by April 30th, 2024 deadline. Incumbent Eugene Menson has provided his application for appointment to this position was the only applicant during the application period. Your options are to appoint Eugene Menson to the Sauk River Watershed District Board of Commissioners or do not. The recommendation is to reappoint Eugene Menson to the Sauk River Watershed District Board of Managers for the 3-year term set to begin on July 1, 2024.
Okay, I'd ask for a motion for the Sauk River Watershed Board of Managers.
So moved.
Motion by Newman, is there a second?
Second.
second by Danny. Discussion?
Yes, Madam Chair, Jean is here today, so thank
Okay.
you for applying and appreciate it.
Thank you. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carries. Okay, economic development, Rick?
Good morning, Madam Chair and Commissioners.
Good morning, Rick.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been, well, it's gone on 14 years. It doesn't seem like it's gone by pretty quick. We've had a chance to accomplish quite a few things. And I know originally when I first came in, Commissioner Newman was on the original board when I came in. And I've appreciated everybody else who served as commissioners that supported the organization. And especially the commissioners too that served on our board, gave us direction, helped us go through different projects and everything. So, but that being said, I would just like to introduce Melissa Wyman. Melissa is the new Executive Director of Todd County Development Corporation, and she'll do a great job. She comes with a lot of experience, especially with City of Staples and Region 5 Development Commission, but I'll hand it over to Melissa. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Good morning. I am excited to be taking over the role over at Todd County Development Corp. And some big shoes to fill, as I hear from everybody we've talked to so far. So really excited to be here. I do have about 13 years of experience in economic development that I plan to bring with me. And I am just looking forward to improving the economics in Todd County.
Welcome, Melissa.
Thank you.
Yes. Any discussion, questions?
We'll take you for a tour on southern Todd County.
That would be great. I actually had a cabin up at Head of the Lakes Resort. And so I'm kind of familiar with the Osakis area. It's one of our favorite fishing lakes. Yep.
Very good. Welcome. Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, before you move on, I just
Yes.
wanted to let you know I did get confirmation from Douglas County, and their vote did not pass for the lid as well. So
Okay.
whether you would have passed it or denied it, it would have failed because both parties had to agree on it. And Douglas County denied their vote.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, we have U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service.
We gotta go in here.
Good morning, Madam Chair and
morning.
Commissioners.
Good morning.
I'm Blair Mason. I'm with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service out of Fergus Falls. And with me today is Jason Nordman, and he's out of the Litchfield office. And their district covers Todd County. So, did everybody receive the letter and attached information from the April 16th letter
Yeah.
regarding the two easements that we're presenting today? We present every acquisition to the County Board of Commissioners for certification and then to the Land Exchange Board for approval. And these easements that we're presenting today will be funded through the Migratory Bird Conservation Stamp Act, the duck stamp, and not tax dollars. Final approval of every acquisition comes from the Land Exchange Board, and for these two easements, it'll be in August. The first easement I have today is
Can I just stop you for a second? You have Traverse County in your letter. The letter confirms the intention of, and I don't know,
That's a copy and paste mistake. I'm sorry. That's what that was. That was a big mistake on my part. I can send you a different letter.
either,
Probably
yeah.
should.
Yo, I totally missed that one. Sorry. I was doing two at the same day and copied and pasted way too much. The first easement we have today is with Dennis and Beverly Paul, husband and wife of Osakis, Minnesota. This is a habitat easement allowing for haying after July 15th of every year. It's in section 31 of Gordon Township and is about 5.3 acres. And the next easement's with the Osakas Country Club. It's a habitat easement allowing for haying after July 15th of every year. The easement's located in section 31 and 32 of Gordon Township and is about 27.8 acres. These acquisition easements are perpetual. The landowner continues to pay taxes because the land stays in private ownership. Weed control and access are still parts of the landowner's rights. Is there any questions?
I do, I'm curious what happens to the land at the point of they sell it? Does the easement go with the new buyer then, or how does that work?
The easement's perpetual and it'll stay on the land
On the
forever.
land?
Yeah, it'll
But
just follow it.
the new buyer or the new owner could continue to hay the land or?
Yes.
Same,
yes.
okay.
Same thing, yes.
Okay. Any other questions? If not,
Madam Chair?
Yes.
No, this looks like it's a good opportunity to preserve some wildlife habitat and maybe, I mean, I know you guys put a lot of funding into these things to improve them as well, correct? Or is that what the plan is?
Commissioner Noska, yeah, that's exactly the plan. These two easements are kind of a complex of the other
Right.
easements that you guys have approved before. With that said, with all the easements put together, I think there's approximately 75.2 acres of wetland that will be restored and or enhanced through cattail treatments, structures, sediment removal, ditch plugs, that kind of thing. And then along with that, if there is opportunities, the plan is to do upland restoration as well. So see it kind of a good opportunity to work with the landowners that want to preserve their land in this manner, but also improve things such as water quality and habitat. So.
Absolutely, yeah, thank you.
okay. Any other? Okay, I would ask for a motion for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service for the Certificate of Conservation Easements.
I'll make that motion.
I'll
Okay,
second it.
motion by Noska, second by Newman. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it carries.
All right.
And thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
guys.
Thank you so
Appreciate it.
much.
Okay, I believe the extension is next.
Extension.
Restoring some of those wetlands that were probably degraded in the past.
Yeah,
with
that's
some wildlife habitat, things
love
like
that.
that. That's all low carbon.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Nothing, nobody's gonna develop it, so.
You got a bunch of them. It's a party.
Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name's Tony Hansen. I'm a Regional Director with the University of Minnesota Extension. I work with 8 different counties, including Aitkin, Beltrami, Cass, Crow Wing, Kennebec, Mille Lacs, Todd, and Wadena County. And we're just bringing our Todd County Extension team before you all today to provide some updates. This team continues to be very busy throughout the year. We just had a meeting with our Extension Committee in April, and we'll be having another one in June to talk about some more updates, review the initial budget proposal for 2025, and continue on with business. And we're anticipating some turnover with our citizen committee members this year, with some folks who have been with the committee for a while, ready to step off and bring some new folks aboard. So looking forward to working on that project. I guess the goal in our update today is really just to share some of the projects that the extension staff has been working on. Most recently, there's definitely some highlights, and I appreciate the investment that Todd County has had for a long time in the University of Minnesota Extension. This is definitely a county where I think the impact of the programming and the staffing investment is apparent, with both the attendance in programs locally, but also the engagement from community members. And so with that, I'm gonna turn it over to other members of the extension staff here to introduce themselves and share some brief updates.
Good morning. I'm Elizabeth Keogh, and I'm with the University of Minnesota Extension SNAP Ed program. We've been working really hard to improve equity and equitable access to food and physical activity in Todd County. A lot of it's been through WAVE, the Welcome Center that's been created with the chamber here, and myself and Joanna Diaz-Torres. We've been working hard to make everyone feel welcome in our community, and that includes access to wellness opportunities, and some of that's been focused on gardening. We have a Garden in a Box program that's been ongoing and will continue this summer, where families in need will receive a garden to their home where they can learn how to garden. We have a children's garden class that's been ongoing and will continue this summer, and also a CSA program where families will receive organic produce from Agua Gorda, a locally owned Mexican farm. And then also we've been doing work with public health and WIC to work with moms and babies so that they feel supported and they can learn about mental flourishing, nutrition, as well as physical activity. And we try to partner with the clinic, with physical therapy, with the food shelf. We've been doing a lot of work on policy systems, environmental change to improve that the healthy choice will be the easy choice in our community. And then we've also had cultural cooking demos to try to make sure the community knows that they're also the expert, to show us about different traditions with food, to also educate public health and the clinic about different food ways in our community. So I feel very blessed and to be able to serve this community and to improve equity and to make all feel welcome. And thank you for your support.
My name is Heidi Igo. I'm the 4-H youth educator.
You might want to put the mic in.
I gotta put the mic closer. Okay. I have a gym voice, so I get kind of scared sometimes to use a microphone. So one of the things that I've been working on, our last project that we did is Project Fun Day, and it's kind of a collaboration between, it's 4-H puts it on, but it's for the community more. And so we had, I had 6 different projects that kids could choose from, and it's kindergartners through 6th graders, and they could make bird houses, and we had fairy gardens, and they planted some seeds for pizza gardens. We had snacks, healthy snacks, kebabs. They made some kebabs and different things like that with fruit or cheese. So just different projects like that. And then, we ended up getting 52 kids actually came that day. And I'd say only maybe 10 to 15 of them were 4-H kids. So that's, and it was a pretty broad, I drove out to, I went out to Staples, and then I came all the way back down and dropped off paperwork at all the different schools along the way, just to get it out so that, they had the information and they could hand it out to their youth and throughout the county. So we had kids from all over in the county came in. I had a kid from Pope County. I had to look up the name of the town. I still have to ask her how she even knew about us, but so she came from a couple counties over, so that was kind of cool. And it was a lot of projects that kids can just literally pick up, and as long as they keep the flowers alive, they can bring it to the county fair. And it can be something that they've learned the skills, they've got, they had a good time putting it together, and they can get it judged and go through that whole process with 4-H. So yeah, it was a really cool event. Things that I learned for next year, more volunteers. I'll get some more volunteers to come in, though our volunteers are great. Kristen was one of our volunteers. So I keep looking at her because I'm like, what did we do? Okay. So it was, yeah. And then I met with my youth volunteers. I met with them afterwards. We had some pizza just to celebrate for having a good morning. And they already came up with some ideas for next year. So we're ready to go for next year. Find a good spot for chickens, I think, is what we're going to bring next year. So we have a good time. A lot of fun goes on. Thank you.
My name is Brenda Miller. I'm the livestock educator here in Todd County. A few things on my plate. We are bringing back Breakfast on the Farm this year, so you can mark your calendar for July 13th. It's Saturday from 10 until 2, and Dale and Marie Catterhagen of Browerville will be hosting us this year. They have beef steers, so they feed out fats, and we had it there back in, I think it was 2016. But they have a great farm, a beautiful place, and hopefully we'll have nice weather that day. And secondly, our farm family of the year this year is the Listen family. Trevor and his family farm dairy cows by Browerville, Clarissa area, about halfway between. And then he got his start farming up on his home farm near Staples. And so we'll be recognizing the entire Listen family. There'll be a presentation at the county fair. Last year, I think it was on Saturday. So hopefully, once we get the schedule of events, we'll know when that is. And then they will also be invited to attend the presentation at Farm Fest, where all of the farm families in the state of Minnesota get recognized at a special program there. And thirdly, I do a lot of goat and sheep programming through the U and some teammates. We work together to do webinars, and I learned that Todd County is the #1 county in Minnesota for a number of goats. So I know nobody really probably finds it super exciting, but just in case you wanted to know, we have a lot of goats here. Like, it's proven I'm not just, blowing smoke, so.
My name is Kristen Sorella, and I help support each of these educators, and I also manage the Todd County Master Gardeners. We held an event on March 23rd here at the First Baptist Church. We had 173 people attend. We had 16 different classes with 13 different speakers. We had anything from soil testing to from the garden to your table to different hanging baskets and anything you want to know about plants. So the Master Gardeners work really hard. It was kind of an all-day event, and that people from even different counties always call and say, when is your Master Garden Day, because we want to attend. So, and then I wanted to add too, we have the Todd County Fair coming up the end of June. It's a little bit early this year compared to last year, so we hope that you can all come and attend and see what we do with our youth here in Todd County.
Thank you.
Brenda, can I ask, can you tell me the Dale Catterhagen Breakfast on the Farm one more time? I didn't catch it all.
Yep, so Breakfast on the Farm will be Daryl and Marie Catterhagen, Saturday, July 13th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Thank you.
Okay. Commissioners, questions, comments?
No, thank you. Thank you for all you do here. We're happy to have you educating the children of Todd County and surrounding areas, apparently. So it's great to see the attendance and the participation.
Yeah, very, very good to see you guys. Thank you for bringing us an update. I appreciate that. I think we've talked about it in the past. It's very good to see you guys. Appreciate your work that you do. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, you only need one.
Yeah.
Hear me once, right?
Right.
Well, good morning. The one item on the agenda this morning for Public Works is a request for an award of contract, construction contract for our 2024 bituminous highway construction projects. And these were our projects located in the southern part of the county that include work on county roads 2, 15, 33, 38, 46, 86, 100, 103, and some work on the Lake Wobegon Trail. Our options are to approve the attached resolution or do not approve the attached resolution. And our recommendation this time is to approve the attached resolution awarding a contract to Anderson Brothers Construction of Brainerd, Minnesota, based on their low bid of $5,912,061.08.
Okay, I'd ask for a motion for the construction contract for 2024 bituminous highway construction projects.
So moved.
Motion by Newman, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Byers. Discussion? You got a fantastic bid on this.
We're very pleased. We were about, as listed in the attachment, we're
Yeah.
about 7.5% or roughly
Under.
460,000 under estimate.
Yeah.
With the other ones being really close, so we know that that is the true market, and we're pretty pleased. And Anderson Brothers does a great job, has in the past. We know they'll do a great job on these projects this summer, so we're very pleased.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And carries. And
All
thank
right,
you, Lauren.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lauren.
Good morning, Nancy.
All right, I have two agenda items today. The first one is County Ditch 40 Lateral 2 repair decision. Background, I got the aerial photo, estimate from Darren Lent, an estimate from Corbin Excavating, and I'm gonna go over those estimates before I do the recommendation. So if you can. Sure. So that's a section of ditch again that you've seen multiple times. And if you can go down to that first estimate, please.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the estimate from Darren Lent. We've got two things that we're gonna do again. So that deep section of ditch, the first option is to mulch everything and cut down all the trees that are in the ditch and to excavate the deep section of ditch. That estimate was $18,200. The second idea is to mulch everything and remove all the trees that are in the ditch, but not excavate the deep section of ditch. When we were there, we were able to get down inside there and do soil borings, and there's only about 6 to 8 inches of silt in that deep section. There is still about 3 feet of silt at the outlet. And so once we're done removing all the trees, we'll go in there and look at the elevation and do more soil borings and see if it really is necessary to remove that 8 inches of silt that's there. When the flood happened back in 72 era, it washed through there and it channeled deeper in that deep section, so it may not be necessary to clean that section if the elevation fall doesn't make it necessary to do it. So his estimate to do it without actually excavating the deep section of ditch is at $14,400. And then I had another estimate. I talked to Corbin Picker Excavating, and they went out and looked at it, same exact ideas, to clean the 2,662 feet of ditch for option 1, which would be removing all the trees, removing all the brush, and cleaning the entire length of ditch. His estimate was $11,979. And then the estimate to do all of that but not excavate the deep section of ditch was $9,317. So your options are to approve an estimate or do not approve an estimate. And my recommendation is the Todd County Board of Commissioners approves the following by motion. Atkins Ditch Authority approves Corbin Excavating's estimate for option 1, $11,979, and option 2, $9,317 for the repair of lateral 2 on County Ditch 40. After the tree and brush removal has been done, the depth of spoil and the elevation level of the deep section of ditch will be evaluated, and the decision will be made to excavate, which is option 1, or to not excavate, which is option 2, the deep section of ditch. And the contractor cannot start this project before August 1st, 2024.
Madam Chair, I'm going to exclude myself from this conversation. I have a conflict of interest on this lateral.
Okay, thank you. Nancy, you don't have either budgeted or not, or it's not, but it's actually would
This will
be
be out of the
budgeted
ditch for, yep, and actually I
by
have it
the
on there.
ditching.
Yeah, because it
people.
comes out of the assessment roll.
That's correct, okay.
So it'll be either the 9.3 or the 11.9. We'll make that decision after we've got all the trees out of there and can see what the elevation difference is from the upper end of the ditch down through that deep section.
Okay, then I would ask for a motion for repair decision for ditch 40, for County Ditch 40. And the recommendation would be within the motion.
And this is back to the expected cost that we normally do for ditch systems.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the option 2 and then inspect to move forward with option 1 if necessary. Is that what we're looking at?
Yep.
Okay.
And the contractor?
With Corbin Excavating. Yep.
Okay, thank you. I have a motion by Nazca. Is there a second?
I second that.
Second by Danny. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that carries, Nancy.
And we need to get,
Thanks for all your work on that, Nancy.
Yeah.
I know you went through bids and bids and
Oh.
bids with multiple contractors, and we appreciate you taking care of that and getting it to an acceptable number.
Thank you. Oh, come on, Jim.
and did we need to get Bob back for this one? Or is he abstaining on this one as well?
I don't think he's got any interest in 42.
Oh,
Thanks, Nancy.
Okay, my second agenda item is County Ditch 42 tile repair update. Background, several meetings have been held with landowners on the CD 42 assessment roll. There's a consensus to move forward with the tile replacement project, and I'm just giving an update today to the Ditch Authority. So I originally was gonna bring this as for the board decision on to do the project or not, but it was brought up at the meeting. The renter of the property that the tile goes through, the way that he plants his crops, he's gonna be planting across the tile system, not with the tile system. So crops would be destroyed if we do this project after he's planted. And then the outlet, which is in the Felix Lake, that landowner has a very nice ATV trail that he has built in there that we would have to excavate through in order to reach the outlet structure. So he was asking that we could put fabric back on that road so that stabilizes the road once that's been removed. So I was not able to get the contractor to meet me out there to go through and get a perfect estimate for the board, so I didn't want to bring it today as an approval or a decision by the board, just because I didn't have all my numbers before the board meeting. So just kind of an overview of what's been going on with this ditch system. So it was discovered that the DNR does have a permanent easement to this control structure on Center Lake. I was on site when the ordinary high water survey was done. They finally got that done. There was no water in the control structure, so I was actually able to walk down there and get a good look at what the control structure looks like. So the 200 feet of new plastic that was installed in 1988 by the DNR is actually within about 2 feet of the stop logs on that structure. My original thinking was that there was a 20-foot long corrugated metal pipe that was deteriorating that is from the control structure to where the tile starts, but in reality, the tile was actually placed within 2 feet of that control structure, so there's not 20 feet of rusting corrugated metal pipe. It's actually only right by the control structure where there's a small pipe that is rusting out. So the rest of that 200 feet of plastic pipe is fine. So the Ditch Authority can repair the tile line and let the DNR decide to do it with the control structure. We don't have to deal with the control structure at all, since it's not that corrugated, 20 feet of corrugated pipe to the structure failing, it's just the actual structure. So the ordinary high water study was done. The basin will not require any modification and management due to the ordinary high water level that was determined. The runout is set by the current stop log elevation on the control structure, and we will move forward with the in-place condition, is what the DNR told me. So we won't be doing anything at all with that control structure. They've got their permanent easement, they've got their flowage easements. If anything needs to be done with that in the future, the DNR will be responsible for taking care of that control structure. So I asked Ag Tech Drainage for an update of a quote. I did that on February 28th. Because we would not be working with the control structure at all, I wanted an updated quote from them. I also asked for a 24-inch inspection pipe instead of an 18-inch inspection pipe for the purpose of cleaning in the future to jet the pipe 24 inches desired over an 18-inch. So the original estimate was $885 for that 18-inch pipe, and it went up to $950 for the 24-inch pipe. So it was kind of a no-brainer to do it, to just go up that much. So the updated quote is $59,630.40. And that is with 1,680 feet of the 24-inch tile at $33.58 a foot. The two of the 24-inch connectors, which will connect to each of the inlet and the outlet structure, one for mobilization, and then the 24-inch intake pipe, which is the inspection pipe, and then the $200 will be to cut, cap, and bury that inspection pipe after the inspection has been done. So that's what that came in at. Landowner meeting was held at Round Prairie Township on April 23rd that I attended. There was a previous meeting that was supposed to have been held on the 26th of March, but the only snowstorm we got for the year happened on that day, so I ended up having to cancel that meeting. So it kind of pushed us back to get the next meeting scheduled, pushed us back almost a month. The landowner that was gonna ask to be removed from the assessment roll, she has decided that she will no longer ask to be removed, so we can move on with our decisions without having to wait for that petition to go through. So I talked to Ag Tech Drainage. They said they will honor the quote if the project is done this spring. If we wait until the fall, they're going to likely have to increase their estimate. We'll need a 120-foot wide working width, approximately 1,600 feet long, so that equals 4.4 acres. The assessment spreadsheet that I gave you, the landowners were given that example spreadsheet of the $66,000. And at the meeting that night, there was one person who was still against the project, and the consensus of the rest of the landowners that night was to move ahead with the project. The amount for the project, the inspection pipe after the inspection of the pipe after the installation, which is $2,300, which is the high end of that estimate. $950 was the low end of that estimate, so I just went with the highest end. The existing expenses, which are $4,113.45 as of April 24th. My ag inspector fees will continue to increase, but that is the only other bills we should have besides the project, unless we have to get attorneys involved again. So to reimburse the renter for his 4.4 acres of crop destroyed and to install fabric on the ATV road, that'll be excavated at the Felix Lake Outlet. I've estimated approximately $4,500. $4,226 of that would be for the crop reimbursement for the crop damage. So the landowner, if we did it this spring, they would just plant as normal, and then we would go in there and we'll go right through the crop. The contractor can't do it. When I talked to him, the last time I talked to him was like a couple of days after that meeting in April. He was not able to do it for at least a month. So there was really no rush in getting it approved at this board meeting because I knew he couldn't do it for a month. And he said the reason they gave us such a good price, and this is actually a good price, was because they were fitting it in when there was downtime, which would be after crops are planted, because right now they're doing all their tile projects, plowing in tile before crops are planted. And with the rain happening, it's gonna delay stuff. But the reason we got such a good price was because of if they could do this later this spring after crops are all in and they have their downtime. So that other column on that spreadsheet I put in there to show what that $4,500 increase would look like to each landowner if we did the crop reimbursement and the fabric on the ATV road. So if we decide to wait until fall, I'll have to get another quote, and we're taking a gamble that that quote's not gonna go up by $4,500. So that's where that is at. And then my plan, I will send the landowners out a letter with this new information, the new dollar amount, and letting them know that this will be on the May 21st board meeting. And I think at that time, you guys should be able to make your decision on if they go forward with the project or not. So, anybody have any questions?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Yes.
So if a redetermination of benefits would be done on this, you're looking at $100,000 probably to get that done, okay?
Yep. Actually, the bigger issue with the redetermination of benefits is that pretty much all parcels that are in that catchment are already on the assessment roll.
Right.
There's a small number that are not, and they were determined at that time to be either damaged because the tile, at the end where the tile goes over toward the outlet there, those properties were considered damaged. They weren't given benefit, they were given damages.
Right.
So the bigger thing would be that they're already in the assessment roll. All it's gonna do is shift numbers, and it's gonna shift them higher.
Right.
is all it's gonna do.
And if we hired an engineer, it'd be another 100,000.
Yep.
So, yeah, this has been ongoing. So all the water is running from County Road 48 south through Center.
Yep, it starts as a
across
tile
the
at the
field
outlet of Center.
where the
Yep.
tile is
Yep.
deteriorated.
Yep.
Okay, into Felix, and then Felix it runs south into wherever, across County Road 8.
Yep, it actually stops as the county ditch system as it enters Felix.
Okay.
What leaves at the outlet there, at the outlet of Felix is not, it was originally in the original plans way back in 1917, but it was not approved at that time, and it was just left to be a natural waterway.
Okay.
So, and looking back through old stuff from the engineer in 1987, he was thinking it was gonna cost $60,000 to repair it at that time. So the cost of what this bid has not really exceeded much from what it would have been when they did it in 87. So, and that's the gamble. Is it gonna cost more if they give us a new quote this fall? Is it gonna be more than that $4,500 we will have to reimburse for crop destruction and for the, basically the crop destruction would be what we'd have to reimburse for.
Any other questions for Nancy?
So this will be brought back.
I'll bring this back on the 21st meeting for you guys to make a decision on it, yep.
Okay.
And the landowners will all get a letter before that, so they'll know.
Before that time?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Right, thanks.
Morning, everyone.
Good morning, Mitch.
Good morning. So I have three items on the agenda. The first of which is the Annex 2 humidifier. The background of this project is the Facilities Department is recommending replacement of the humidification system in Annex 2 due to its current state. The department is utilizing Sourcewell for this process and Johnson Controls bid of $25,089. The options are to approve the Sourcewell supplied price from Johnson Controlled for the replacement of the humidification system for a total of $25,089, or do not approve request. The recommendation is the Todd County Board of Commissioners approve the following by motion: to approve the Sourcewell supplied price from Johnson Controlled for the replacement of the humidification system for a total cost of $25,089.
Okay, I'll ask for a motion for the 2 humidifiers.
It's the Annex 2 humidifier
It's
system.
Annex 2.
Yep.
So moved.
Motion by Byers. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Denny. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carries.
All right, my next item on the agenda is the Annex 1 rooftop controls. The background of this is the Facilities Committee, or the Facilities Department is recommending an upgrade to the current controls on Annex 1 rooftops due to its lack of rooftop control. The department is utilizing Sourcewell for this process and Johnson Controls bid of $16,482. The options are to approve the Sourcewell supplied price from Johnson Controls of $16,482 for the upgrade of the controls system on Annex 1 rooftops, or do not approve request. The recommendation is the Todd County Board of Commissioners approve the following by motion: to approve the Sourcewell supplied price from Johnson Controls of $16,482 for the upgrade of the controls system on Annex 1 rooftops.
Okay, is there a motion for the Annex 1 rooftop controls?
So moved.
Motion by Denny. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Newman. Discussion? I know during facilities, we've had some discussion on that because we replaced everything new, correct?
Yeah, so
And
we're-
so maybe you could give us some
Yeah,
update.
so we replaced everything new with a low bid process. However, what we're finding is we're lacking control of the system. So on days like today where we can utilize the economizer mode, which basically lets fresh air into supply or cool air into cool some of the rooms that need cooling and these type of things. And we're really finding that we can't control them properly without dialing everything in with the control system. So currently, we're really lacking on that process. So we're hoping to, by upgrading control system, we're going to better suit our employees for their comfort and keep everything, the building at a humidity level as well and a dehumidification level by tweaking the system ourselves instead of just the unit doing it as the controls are set up on the unit already. So that's why we have a control system in place for us to monitor. And this just so happens to be 2 rooftop units on the on Annex 1 that we cannot control. So.
Okay. With that, any further discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And carries.
All right, then my last topic is the Annex 1 ceiling tile, and the background is for this. The Facilities Department is in the process of upgrading ceiling tile access. A total bid was submitted by St. Cloud Acoustic for $6,640 for the replacement of the ceiling tile. The option are to approve the bid of $6,640 by St. Cloud Acoustics for the redo of ceiling tile in Annex 1, or do not approve the request. The recommendation is the Todd County Board of Commissioners approve the following by motion to approve the bid of $6,640 by St. Cloud Acoustic for a redo of ceiling tiles in Annex 1.
Okay. I'll ask for a motion for Annex 1 ceiling tiles.
So moved.
Motion by Nazca. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Denny. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carries.
Thank you.
Mitch. Good morning.
Good morning. What we got for you today is a board action for the Accurate Control PC upgrade. Accurate Controls is the vendor that is used to control the jail doors in the sheriff's office. The PCs that control the software are in need of replacement. Attached is the quote from Accurate Controls to update these PCs with their software for a price of $15,258.23. Also attached is the quote for the 3 new PCs for this project for the price of $4,434. Your options are to approve the quote from Accurate Controls or not approve. The recommendation is to approve the quote from Accurate Controls to update these PCs.
Okay, I'd ask for a motion for the controls PC update.
So moved.
Motion by Nazca. Is there a second?
Motion by
Oh,
Byers.
Byers.
Yep,
Excuse
I'll
me.
second though.
Second by Nazca.
We got it, we got it.
Discussion. Can you give us a little bit more information, Lisa?
Yep, the Accurate Control System is what unlocks the doors when the jailers are behind locked doors with the inmates. So there's a control system in dispatch and in the jail, and then they have another logging system. That's what makes up the 3 systems.
Okay.
So that's what that's for. It's really a security thing and they haven't been updated since 2017.
Oh,
So.
okay. Okay. Hearing that, is there a motion?
Oh, we did that.
Yeah, we did Byers and Nazca. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And carries. Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa.
What are we on here?
And Commissioners, the next board action would be the acceptance of the 2024 State Boat and Water Grant for the amount of $3,500. Background is we applied for and did receive the Boat and Water Safety Grant for that amount. Our options is to approve that grant amount or not to approve, and our recommendation is to approve the 2024 Boat and Water Safety Grant for the amount of $3,500.
Okay, is there a motion for the approval of the boat and water grant?
So moved.
Motion by Denny,
Second.
second by Newman. Discussion. Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carries. Thank you,
Thanks.
Mike.
Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Good morning, Adam.
My first item this morning is the Sunset Point preliminary plat, an application for a subdivision to create a single 3.2 acre lot on parcel 1400172202, which is in Kendota Township. Was submitted on March 11th. It was reviewed by the Planning Commission during the April 11th public hearing. The final recommendation from the Planning Commission was to approve the preliminary plat with the condition listed below. Options are to approve the preliminary plat with the condition, develop your findings and deny the preliminary plat, or 3, remand it back to the Planning Commission with a 60-day extension. Recommendation is to adopt the findings of the Planning Commission and approve the preliminary plat with one condition, that the applicant must abide by all other applicable federal, state, and local standards. I believe the preliminary plat drawing is up there and the site image also. This is right off of County 11 on one of the long lakes there in the chain of lakes.
Okay, I will ask for a motion for Sunset Point preliminary plot.
So moved.
Motion by Newman. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Nazca. Denny, it's hard. Okay, any discussion?
Yes, Madam Chair. Did we get any response from Kendota Township on this?
I reached out to them directly and asked. I knew that the applicant had gone there at like the end of February, and they emailed me back and said they had no concerns.
So there was nothing in writing that,
In the email, I emailed them, they emailed me back. I don't have the email on me, but in the application, they did go to the township to present it on, if I can find it back quick.
and I did have one other question, and that was, what are the state and federal guidelines? I mean, what do they gotta do? Where do they gotta go for that?
Related to the condition?
Yeah.
There isn't any other ones. That's just a blanket condition. So if there is some, we put that on almost everything that we can put conditions on, just because if there is something out there, they can still be on the hook on the county side of things because that's a condition. But there are no other requirements. So we can remove that as a condition. That's not a problem. But that's just a general blanket condition as a catch-all condition.
Because if somebody calls me up and says, what's the federal and state requirements? I don't know. What are they?
Right. And there isn't any additional ones, so it's not a necessary condition. It's just a catch-all in the event that something were to be there.
Okay.
And he went to the township on February 26th.
Okay.
To present
I think Randy, if I may, I think that condition as a blanket catch-all is certain implications that could come from public waters alterations or things like that. So where the DNR would have a say in something that the plat doesn't get approved unless they take care of their DNR.
But then you'd put that in writing. If there
Right,
was-
I don't know that. I just, I think it's just for us to have a
It's
reason
just
if
for me,
they
it's
were to
just,
screw it up
I
and
don't
deny
get
it.
it.
Okay. We have
Long Lake, yeah. The one west. Yep.
any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carries.
Okay, second, the Paul A. Hirschberger request for CUP, an application for a conditional use permit on parcel 20-0017300 in Reynolds Township was submitted on March 11th. This was a request for wood processing and sales of windows, doors, and metal products with business signage and doing a building addition. The application was reviewed by the Planning Commission during the April 11th public hearing, and the final recommendation from the Planning Commission was to grant the CUP with conditions below. Options are to grant the CUP with the proposed conditions, develop findings to deny the CUP, or remand it back to the Planning Commission with the 60-day extension. Recommendation is to adopt the findings of the Planning Commission and grant the CUP to parcel 20-0017300 with the condition listed below. 1, that outdoor storage of products shall be allowed, but shall be conducted in compliance with section 901B of the Todd County Planning and Zoning Ordinance. 2, there shall be no loading or unloading materials within the road right-of-way, and 3, that the applicant abide by all their applicable federal, state, and local standards.
Okay, is there a motion for the Paul A., how do you pronounce his last name? Hirschberger?
Hirschberger, yep.
Request for a CUP.
So moved.
Motion by Danny. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Nazca. Discussion. Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carries.
All right, and lastly is a planning commission appointment. The planning commission currently has a vacancy in District 1 following the resignation of Arnie Boy. A citizen's appointment application was received from Andy Watland to fill this void on the planning commission. If appointed, Andy would serve the planning commission through 2026 and then would be up for reappointment. Options would be to accept the resignation of Arnie Boy and appoint Andy Watland to District 1 planning commission member, or to do not accept. Recommendation is to accept that resignation of Arnie Boy and appoint Andy Watland to District 1. And I emailed you his citizen's appointment application if you wanted to look at that. It was the only one that we received. He has a heavy agriculture background. Barb actually had a conversation with him and sent him my direction, so I talked with Andy. Yeah, I think he'll be a good fit.
Yeah, I do believe Andy will be a good asset to the Planning and Zoning Board. So with that, I would ask for a motion for approval of Andy Watland to the Planning and Zoning Board from District 1.
So moved.
Motion by Newman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Byers. Discussion. Hearing no discussion, and all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Morning, Madam Chair, Commissioner.
Good morning.
Morning.
Two board action
Guten
forms
Tag.
in front of you today to present. First one being the opioid settlement funding proposal, administrative support, some background. The Todd County Opioid Settlement Advisory Council met on April 17th, 2024, and reviewed the attached funding request and approved for funding. The request would allow Health and Human Services staff to provide administrative support to facilitate the Opioid Settlement Advisory Council, oversee implementation of funded projects, and complete all required fiscal reporting. Your options are to approve the opioid settlement funding request for administrative support, or to not approve. It's our recommendation that you go ahead and approve the opioid settlement funding request for administrative support.
Okay, I ask for a motion for the proposed funding, opioid settlement funding for administrative support.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, a motion by Nazca. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Denny. You want to give us an explanation, Jackie?
It's just basically for oversight on the administrative side. So the time spent managing the dollars and setting up the meetings for Catherine and Jenna will cover their cost.
Okay. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
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 Against, and carries. And
Thank you. All right, next board action form is resolution to support transitional service bonding request. Clay County, some background. Clay County is working to obtain funding for youth transitional housing facility in west central Minnesota. The Clay County Board of Commissioners has designated space within the Family Services Center and has allocated up to $200,000 for the project. They are requesting just over $1 million in appropriations from bond proceeds to complete the project. The attached resolution to support the transitional service bonding request by Clay County is attached for your review. Your options are to approve the resolution to support the transitional services bonding request by Clay County, or to not approve. It's our recommendation to approve the resolution to support the transitional services bonding request by Clay County. There is a great need in our area for these services for children. So again, this is a letter of support for the bonding request. John, is there anything you would like to add?
No, just it's a needed service. I mean, every place that provides that service right now is full with long waiting lists. So any options to expand that is greatly appreciated.
Okay. And I know I was to the meeting this last couple of weeks too, and we had that discussion at our meeting, and there is such a need for it, and so I really hope that we can support this by this resolution. Okay. I'd ask for a motion for the resolution to support the bonding request for the transitional at Clay County.
So moved.
Motion by Byers. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Newman. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carries. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We'll go into standing reports. County Auditor Treasurer.
I'm happy to report that Jolene and I did attend the election conference in Brainerd and Nisswa, and it was quite interesting. Learned lots, but we are now officially administrative trainers to train our election judges here in Todd County, which will be getting underway in June sometime. Then we also have elections are well underway. Jolene's working on the training sessions. We'll be doing in-person and online for those that don't want to come in person and can find time in the evening to watch the online training. And filing taxes are just unbelievable. We are getting flats of mail like crazy, so that's wonderful. But it's amazing how many people are getting their payments in, which we're happy to see. Keeps the staff very busy though. And then elections are underway as well because May 21st, the filings do open for state, judicial, and local levels for offices that'll be opening up this year on the general election. And I just want to also thank John and anybody else that helped with that whole Lake Association lid process, the Douglas County staff, commissioners, Jackie, my staff. It was very time consuming and we learned a lot, and we'll see what happens now, but I just want to thank everybody that assisted me on that. That was quite a project.
Okay, thank you. County Attorney?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Madam Auditor Treasurer. We had a resignation in my office last week. One of the assistant county attorneys in my office resigned abruptly, and so I hope to post that position soon because we have the work. Because if we don't have someone in that position, that means I have to pick up a full criminal caseload again. And good news is that we're interviewing this week for a legal assistant position in our office that will help keep things moving. And so, yeah, we'll try to focus on the positive going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. County Coordinator.
I attended the groundbreaking ceremony for the new transfer station along with the commissioners, and so that was really exciting. I believe they start the work tomorrow, so it's happening. We did have our candidates for the payroll and benefits position in administration decline a second interview, so we're back to the drawing board and we've reposted the position and already have some new applicants coming in, so we're hoping to turn that around pretty fast. And then finally, I attended the Minnesota Association of County Administrators Region 7 meeting. Got to be with my fellow coordinators and administrators, about 8 of us, and we talked about things that are going down in St. Paul with the legislation and updates, which is kind of a moving target yet right now.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, we'll start with Commissioner Denny.
Yep, apart from my normal meetings, we just did the, like Jackie Bauer said there, with the groundbreaking ceremony for the transfer station. Also, I guess the more exciting news or surprising news is Bertha Hewitt School is proposing a 4-day week up in my district. So there's been a lot of discussion, and last week it's been 3 different open public meetings. So a lot of discussions, good and bad, of decisions. So there's a vote tomorrow night whether it passes or fails. So we'll see what they decide. But that's been what's been new and exciting in the area for the northern part of the county.
Commissioner Newman.
Yes, Madam Chair. On the 16th, attended the lid meeting in Osakis. On the 17th, we had the road meeting up in Moran Township. 22nd, I had CPT in Morris, then come back here and we had a personnel meeting that afternoon. And 23rd, attended the Sauk River Watershed meeting. 29th, personnel, solid waste, groundbreaking up in Barville. And airport meeting was that afternoon. Installed the docks last week at the county park. I want to thank Ken and Mike Hayes for their assistance on getting them in. May 1st, we had policy, and just to let everybody know, I will be filing for another term, so that's all I got.
Okay, Commissioner Byers?
Like Commissioner Denny said, kind of the usual. I went to wellness, airport. I think Barbara and I both were at the ditch meeting. You know, the biggest thing for me actually is everybody's touched on it, but the groundbreaking up in Broad River, the Stratford Station. I was up there yesterday, and they're actually already moving dirt, knocking down trees. But I thought that the team up there did an amazing, really good job. You know, I mean, that team up there is, in my estimation, really kicking tail. They're doing a great job. And I can almost say the same thing for when we went to the annual Lauren's meeting up north.
The shop.
Yeah, boy, you know, when they hit these presentations, they really do an amazing job. You know, Lauren and Mike have really taken the bull by the horns there, and real thankful they're on our staff. We're lucky. That's it.
Thank you. Commissioner Nasca?
Aside from, you know, the normal meetings, the lid meeting, the roads meeting, whatever, we, since last commissioner meeting, we had the Circle R appeals hearing on the 18th. And at that appeals hearing, the permanent revocation of their operations was upheld. So that's something we probably won't, it's not going to go away. So we'll see what comes of that going forward.
Okay. I attended the lid meeting in Osakis on the 16th. The 17th was a road meeting, and we do that at the North Shop, which is really interesting that we get up to the northern part of the county. On the 18th, I went to the West Juvenile Center, and that's up in Moorhead, and that's the one that they want to go ahead and expand for more kids to be able to help. The 18th, we had the Circle R Ranch appeals hearing. The 22nd, we had personnel. On the 25th, I had a Region 5 meeting. The 26th was facility. The 29th was groundbreaking for the solid waste, and I agree with you, they're doing an outstanding job in Farrville. We also had personnel, and on the 1st, we had a policy meeting and also a weed meeting. It's the first policy meeting we've had for, I bet, 6 months or better, so it's nice to get in that policy thinking again, I guess. And with that, we
Madam Chair,
will, yes.
I forgot one last thing. In conjunction, the last 6 months have been pretty amazing, so I also intend to file for reelection this year.
Okay, thank you, Bob. And with that, I'm also planning on filing for reelection on the 21st also. And with that, we will stand recessed until May 21st. Thank you. We'll take a 5-minute break or so. Ed,
Excuse me.
and call the work session to order. It is 10:30, so Sauk River Watershed District. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners, staff. Third time's a charm, I believe. A couple meetings ago, I was attempting to be on your schedule to have this discussion with you, and I became ill and was not able to make it. And last time, you had pressing business that you needed to take care of in a closed session, and it took longer than you expected. I had another appointment, so we'll go through the presentation. It's only, take me about 10 minutes or so to do this and have a discussion with you. It's a little bit out of order because you've already made your decision when it comes to board appointments, but I'll still present you the information, hopefully to educate you more on the statute and some of the things to look for in board members. First of all, for those of you that don't know me, I'm John Rushline. I'm the administrator now for the Sauk River Watershed District. I've been the administrator for since January of 22. Previously, I have 35 years in watershed management, 27 of them as the administrator in the Bois de Sioux Watershed District. And this is my third year here as in the Sauk River Watershed District. I spent the first 5 years with the Sauk River Watershed District doing their ditch and permit management program. So my wife and I live in Wheaton, Minnesota. We own a little over 4 acres in Osakis Township in Douglas County, so for seasonal use purposes, and so therefore I am a taxpayer in the Sauk River Watershed District and Douglas County. I have 2 grown children and 4 grandchildren, which we enjoy very much. The slide that you're looking at now on the screen is a map of the Sauk River Watershed District, just to familiarize yourself a little bit with that. The watershed includes parts of 5 different counties, and you can see the little yellow portion of Meeker County. It's about 2 townships down there, but nonetheless, it's part of 5 counties. The majority of our watershed is in Stearns County. Todd County has the next biggest part of our watershed district. Our district is managing over $15 million in state and federal grants to further the purpose and mission of the district through many partnerships, both public and private. For every dollar we levy, we have brought in an additional $1.83 in outside funding. So we're bringing more in than what we're levying. We monitor that ratio periodically just to make sure that we're doing a good job bringing in outside funds to help with our purpose. The Watershed District is a member of the Sauk River Comprehensive Watershed Management Plan Collaborative, as is Todd County and Todd SWCD. There's 4 SWCDs that are members, 4 counties and the district. Meeker opted not to join due to the small land area that they have in our watershed. We therefore, anything that's gonna happen in Meeker County, we just take care of them and keep them informed. As many of you know, that Sauk River Watershed Board members are appointed by the county. You took that action today. And I'm here to provide you some information on statutory requirements of making those appointments, as well as what to look for in candidates and why. This slide is taken right out of the statute, 103D 311. It means there's 2 requirements in the statute. They have to be a voting resident of the watershed district, and they can't be a public officer of the county, state, or federal government. Soil and Water Conservation District supervisors can be appointed, and it doesn't state this here, but township board members can also be appointed if they want to serve. We've had township board members on our board in the past. But it's a voting resident of the watershed district means exactly what it says. They need to have an address within the watershed district boundary. But for example, if you wanted to appoint somebody that had applied for the Todd representation from the city of Freeport, as long as their address is within the watershed boundary, you can appoint them. Typically, the appointment is made with someone that is a resident of the county and inside the watershed boundary. That's typically how it happens, but there's been times where it's been a little different. The district appointments expire on June 30th. every year. Terms are for 3 years. Manager Menson was appointed to fill out a term of Manager Botner, who resigned after the first year, so he filled out 2 years. That's why you were making that same appointment again here the second, in only 2 years later. This statute lays out the timeline required for your appointment process. Your staff is on top of that and has you on track to meet that requirement. And Manager Eugene Menson was up for appointment and you reappointed him this morning. So you can reappoint current managers if they desire and the candidate is interested. Stearns County, interestingly enough, imposed a 3-year term or a 3-term limit on their manager appointments. So managers they appoint from Stearns County can only serve for a maximum of like 9 years. So they, but no other county in our watershed has that term limit requirement, and I think that's discretionary by county commissions. This next portion here is just the last portion of the statute that directs the process for record keeping. There's some proposals in the legislature where they would update this. It has to be filed with the county auditor of each county affected by the watershed district, the secretary of the board of managers, and the board of water and soil resources. And I think there's some things in the proposed in the statute where it brings the watershed district into the picture a little more, but I'm not sure exactly what that is yet. But talk a little bit about the watershed district now. The mission of the Sauk River Watershed District is to apply our unique abilities and authorities in ways that protect and enhance our watershed's resources for today and tomorrow. Now that's a mouthful and it's pretty broad, but kudos to the Todd County Commission for taking their position seriously and appointing folks to serve on the Watershed District Board, because it shows that you have some value in your resources in your county within our watershed and you want to see those things managed appropriately. The Watershed District is a great tool for you to use to do that, and your part is to put good policymakers on the board. Our mission focuses on water quality improvement and protection, as well as water quantity management. Much of the work that we do involves restoration work of both upland and wetland habitats, stream stabilization, and water quantity management, which is done to fulfill that mission and goal. We understand that there's a need for other land uses such as ag and industrial development. In the agricultural world, drainage is always a big topic. You spent some time with your drainage inspector this morning at your meeting taking care of drainage issues. That's a much needed thing for ag production, and it's I'm glad you recognize that as well. We also do we work to teach folks how to do water management in a way that does no harm to the water quality or the water resource and potentially provide some improvement. We do so through our regulations, through capital improvement projects, as well as other programs, granting programs and partnerships with other agencies and assisting with their programs. It's the intention of the Watershed District to work to strike a balance with all land uses in order to restore the quality of the impaired waters of the district and to protect those that are not yet impaired. Watershed managers are the key policymakers that can make this happen. Like any job, one must have certain qualities and interests in order to perform them well. Watershed managers are no different. Therefore, it's important to appoint qualified and interested individuals to the position of that manager. This slide and the next few slides lay out the position description of the watershed manager in the Sauk River Watershed District. It's important to note that the manager serves the watershed district as a whole, rather than any special interest group or constituency. Folks who are appointed as a watershed manager are encouraged to share their opinions and listen to the opinions of others, but also to consider the scientific facts in order to make the best decision for the watershed district as a whole. Some of the minimum qualifications: they need to support the mission and goals of the watershed district, and then they need to be willing to invest the necessary time and energy to prepare for and attend watershed board meetings and trainings, serve as a liaison to the local community, attend regional and statewide training, and receive and respond professionally to public inquiries. It's important that the individual supports the mission and goals of the district. Some knowledge of environmental resources is very helpful. Therefore, it's recommended that commissioners spend a little time interviewing and screening interested parties to learn if they contain the qualities recommended to fill the position of manager. Some of the desired knowledge, skills, and abilities. If they have some experience in water resources, management, administration, or other boards, it's very helpful. It makes a transition into the watershed world very much easier. Managers also have some responsibility to the appointing authority, which is you, county commissioners, to keep the appointing authority informed of the watersheds project and programs. And periodically, I'll even come to your meetings and give you updates on things that are happening in your county. Again, it doesn't hurt to repeat item number 2 in this slide, as it really is no different than any other public official responsibility. One needs to share their opinion and that of their constituency, but also to listen to all other opinions and facts to make the best decision for the district as a whole. I believe you as a county board do the same kind of thing, making a decision for your county as a whole, based on the opinions and the facts that are presented to you. So what we recommend when you're seeking to appoint a board member, a new manager to the board, that you would list your qualifications in your notice, just like you're advertising for a job. Screen those applicants like you would if you were hiring them, because in a sense you are. You are hiring someone from the Todd County Board of Commission to serve on the Watershed District Board, which is your tool to improve your water quality in your environment in your county. Interview those folks and select the appropriate person and appoint them. Because in a sense you are hiring them to work for you. Appointing someone that does not have at least some of the qualifications or maybe has a personal agenda can likely disrupt the momentum of the district and would ultimately affect all of us taxpayers with increased costs. If we have to spend a lot of time dealing with concerns and things that maybe aren't pertinent right now, it costs time and money for the taxpayer and your taxpayers as well as myself being a taxpayer in this district, so on and so forth. So at the very least, we end up repeating many of the processes that have already been completed, or at worst case, it could jeopardize some outside funding and projects that are in process of being implemented. Obviously, there's a learning curve or a learning period for new managers, and that's to be expected. The more qualified the individual is, the less time and cost to the taxpayer there will be with orientation tasks. In conclusion, the Watershed District Board and staff strive to work together as a team, each player knowing their position and performing their responsibilities to the best of their ability. Teamwork requires trust, and that's a key word here, and trust by all the players. Part of the reason I'm here today is to let you know who I am, what the Watershed District is about, and to start developing that trust relationship with you. New board members that contain the qualities outlined earlier will acclimate much easier than those without those qualities. Forward progress will be much more cost efficient. And Manager Menson has been on the board for a couple of years, so he's oriented now, and we shouldn't have any issues moving forward trying to bring him up to speed, which is very good. So watershed manager appointments are a very important duty of the county commission, and that was my point in my discussion with you today. And if anybody has any questions of me, I'm through with what I wanted to speak with you about.
Just out of curiosity, on your first picture on your screen of the Sauk River watershed, the map, so how many voting members do you have from each county?
That's a good question. We have, Stearns County appoints 4 managers to the board, Todd County appoints 2, and then 1 each from Pope, Douglas, and Meeker. So we have a total of 9 members on our board.
Okay, so projects that we seen deemed in Todd County, we really don't have the votes to move them forward. Because the way it looks like Stearns County can pretty much outvote the other counties.
Well, they have four members, and that was, the membership was established by the law judge when they ordered the establishment of the district, the distribution of managers. And as I stated, when the managers try to review each project, make their decisions based on facts, and make a decision on how it's gonna benefit the watershed as a whole. So if there's a good project in Todd County, there would be likely no reason for a Stearns County appointed manager to vote against it. It's all based on a lot of the scientific facts and in a sense, trying to remove some of the politics from it.
Okay, I mean, we just had the Osakis lid here today. And we've heard a lot of negatives, a lot of whatever opinions on how the watershed's actually helping Lake Osakis. And we've been getting a lot of feedback. What's your response back to, I guess, to the Osakis people around the lake?
If you read my letter to the editor in the Long Prairie Leader here, and the Osakis Anchor in the last week, I noted in there while I was at that hearing, and I noted that apparently we're not doing a good enough job of getting information out there about what we're doing in Lake Osakis. And I attempted to share some of that information in that letter to the editor. I take some responsibility for not doing enough, not having enough presence out there to keep people informed. The Watershed District is doing significant amounts of work in that area to help that lake, okay? We've got close to $2 million in state clean water, land, and legacy money going into projects in that watershed up in the JD2 area to improve water quality coming out of that system. We have a federal grant for a project totaling almost $500,000 to really dial in on what the issues are in the lake and then identify potential projects to correct that or fix those problems. My work moving forward is to get more information out there to folks in more ways so that they have better access to the information of the work that we're doing for them. But I also, in my letter to the editor, folks that want to know this information have to want to be informed as well. And when something is presented to them, they need to read it, listen to it, and respond to it. Short of going to everybody's door and giving them a 10-minute presentation, which isn't an efficient way of doing things, people need to take it on themselves to come and be informed as well. So we're trying to provide as many avenues as we can for them to be informed. I think that was the big problem, is they didn't know.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, questions?
No, Madam Chair. Commissioner Wildman from Pope County attends the meetings, along with Commissioner Notch from Stearns, along with Commissioners Rapp and Kalina from Douglas, and then myself. So we do have 5 commissioners that attend almost every meeting. We sit in and keep an eye on them.
Yep. And Commissioner Newman also participates in our project team, which serves as an advisory committee to our board. So when the project team makes recommendations or on how to move forward, such as on this alternatives analysis and the project work that we're doing, that advisory committee report is presented to the board, and that influences their decisions as well. So you've got some interaction with our board and continued work moving forward by having Commissioner Newman serving on that project team process.
Okay. Any other questions?
Since we're here today, how about the Long Lake Higgins? I see it's on our agenda here. Item number 4, are you gonna stick around for that?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
I plan to be here in case you have questions of me.
all right,
Okay, thank you.
thanks.
Yep. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
you for finally getting to be in front of you.
Sorry about that, yeah.
No, that's no problem.
Adam?
All right, good morning again. This would have been a very short work session if it wasn't for me. Okay, my first topic is the review of the proposed ordinance amendments to section 503, 505, and 506. If you recall back, this was the recommendation to have the applications for conditional uses, variances, and zoning amendments go through a similar process to what we do with our plating applications to have require the applicants to go to the townships before submitting that application, and we were going to stick that into the ordinance as a requirement. So we brought this to the Planning Commission at the, would have been the last meeting, and had this reviewed, and you can see the proposed language for each of those sections, pretty much identical to one another, except referencing their specific topics. When we originally talked about this, we had the piece in there about, there was another sentence about not reaching a decision until we've heard back from the townships. The Planning Commission recommended removing that portion because of feedback we had got from the townships that they just really want the opportunity to review these but don't want to have a requirement that they need to respond to us. The townships really have no decision-making authority in any of these processes at all. So it's just most important that we know without a doubt that the townships have got an opportunity to review these applications, which they will, and then it'll be early in the process even before the county gets it. So that's really the only change from what was initially presented at the work session before we brought this to the Planning Commission.
Madam Chair. The thing that I'm seeing right now in my district is when people come in for a variance by the lakes on a township, okay, they don't have any parking, okay, and they're parking all over. A lot of these are township roads. That's a township issue. Has nothing to do with the county, except the county's granting the variance and the conditional use permit on that land. So when they're starting to park all over and jeopardize the safety of other individuals, that is a concern of the township, and they should have the say.
I think the township should certainly have the opportunity to submit those comments to whether it be the Planning Commission, this board, or the Board of Adjustments. But if the township submits something to us that says, we don't support this, you need to deny it, that really is just their opinion. The decision is completely upon this board or whatever responsible party that is, whether it be the Board of Adjustments or this board. So their comments matter, and their support to their comments is really what we're after, but they do not hold any decision-making authority in any of these situations. So we really just want to be absolute certain, and I think these sections here accomplish that by being certain that the applicant, we're making it the applicant's responsibility to get to the township, present their application even before it comes to our office. So we know without a doubt, early in the process, they've had a chance to review it. If they submit no comments to us, I guess they've chosen to, or they must not have any concerns then, but we as staff can take time to try to reach out to them to get those comments. But I think it's important that we don't put ourselves in a tough spot with 60-day rules and stuff sitting here just waiting on a township response. We're accomplishing the goal by just making sure that the applicant is presenting these applications to the township.
So, Madam Chair, I was contacted by multiple townships of mine that had their concerns that they weren't notified. And that's concerning, and that's why I brought this up, was the fact that the townships need to be notified. I don't care. All we're asking is they respond back to this board saying, yes, we got the notification, and if they're okay with it, or if they got objections, okay? That's all we were asking. We're not asking a lot.
Right.
So-
Right. Madam Chair, if I may, none of those townships were at the planning and zoning meeting. All the ones that were there said that they did not want the responsibility. They did not want to send comments. One of them said, can we just check an attendance box that they were here, that they notified us, and that's it. They did not want to comment, in which attendance box is fine. But again, they don't want the responsibility on them to make a decision. If they have a comment, they told us, told the whole board, that they will reach out with the comment, but said, do not wait for our comments. That was majority of every township that was there and the ones that contact me directly. And if the ones that want their comments, they're going to see this prior anyways, that this is what the whole thing is. They're still gonna see it prior, so they'll have the opportunity to comment. We're just not waiting for their decision, because their decision has no merit. We're just going off their opinion.
So were the townships from the northern part of the county or the southern part of the county?
Long Prairie Township, Roger obviously is Round Prairie on the board, Ken Hovitz with Hartford. They're on the planning commission, of course. And there might have been one other, I don't remember off the top of my head. And then we heard, I don't know what township he was from, but the gentleman at the annual township meeting that spoke, it
where he
was
was
similar.
from.
What's that?
I said, I don't know what township he was
I
from.
I don't recall either, but the comments during the planning commission here were pretty similar to his, that they felt like the county is trying to put the responsibility on them in the decision-making, which that was not the intention, and it would never be that. But everybody, for the most part, agreed that this is important, that they see these applications early in the process. And what I envision this being is very identical to our plating process. When that application comes to us, it's incomplete if that date you went to the township is not on that application, so we can verify that, but there is an optional signature spot, so the township can sign it and say, yep, they were here. We left it as optional because we didn't want to feel like we were putting the township in a position that they were signing that application, feeling like they're agreeing to it. And that's not the case, it's just signing it saying, yeah, they were here. But we didn't want to put the township in a position where they were signing that application when they didn't support it. They should be submitting those comments separate from the application. But at least we have the mechanism to verify they attended a township meeting.
It's in the state statute that the townships need to be notified.
Yeah, and they'll get the notification on top of this.
Right.
This is an additional
We
step.
just want a response back.
Sure. And this is what the planning commission recommended on that. It doesn't have to stay this way. This was based on the comments we received from the townships. And I think we're accomplishing this goal with this language here. And we're gonna, in theory, we're gonna get more comments back, just simply because everybody's gonna be notified early in the process. The real issue was that township meetings are staggered throughout the whole month, right? And we can't create a planning commission meeting to accommodate everybody. This solves that, because we're gonna have them review it before the application even comes to our office.
Okay.
And the language we have here would accomplish that. We as staff, we can take time to try to email each township and get a response, but it's not forcing the township into a position where they have to respond. But we can try to just they're gonna see it, we know that. We can email them and say, you've had a chance to review it, what concerns do you have, send them to us.
Yeah. Yeah, what's nice about this is that actually the comments get to be made prior to the planning and zoning commission, so, which they can make an informed, more educated decision if the township has a response to this, so, which is, a lot of times, we're playing catch-up or doing the whole I didn't know things, but this is, I think this is a very good process to go before they even come to your office. This is.
Yeah, and in theory, we'll get more comments. I think we'll get more attendance physically at the meetings too, from those townships.
I agree.
So what are your plans moving forward with this? Go back to planning or bring it back to a board meeting?
It would have to go to the next county board meeting for whatever decision that may be. So it'll be on next agenda on the 21st.
On the 21st?
And then you can adopt it, amend it, or send it back to the planning commission with some options to consider.
So John, does that wording look okay?
It does. The word shall in each proposed clause is mandatory. So as Adam has indicated, it won't come to planning and zoning until the townships have taken this step. And I think that's important.
Okay, thank you.
We've tried to start initiating this kind of a soft opening to it with applications even prior to right now, so people start knowing. You call us, let us know what you're up to, but we're gonna send you right to the township first with that application to present it. So we're already getting a few comments from townships then. Anything else on that topic?
No.
Okay, are we ready to go to the feedlot ordinance then?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so at that same meeting, after I think it was January through April, we had reviewed the feedlot ordinance, and we have the final recommendation from the planning commission here. The first section here is with the changes tracked, so that's what you see in red. You can see it was crossed off. The second document has them all accepted, so it's a clean, like how it would read in the ordinance. But we'll walk through this first. In the recommendation to amend the feedlot ordinance, the planning commission had recommended that we create 2 new definitions to be adopted. You can see them both up there. One is a definition for a hobby farm. The reason for this is because there's a reference to what a hobby farm is in our zoning district descriptions. And then secondly, to create a definition for a historic feedlot use. As we go ahead, you'll see a reference to that. But we didn't have a definition for it, but our ordinance says that if it has historic feedlot use, that we can re-register in shoreline zoning for up to 9.9, I believe is how that goes. So we wanted to have a definition so that we as staff had something to review and know what we're looking at and not making these kind of like site-by-site determinations. It'll give us better direction. So those were recommended to be adopted. In addition to section 911, we needed to update our use tables as a result of this amendment, so that's what section 604 is. As you scroll down, very minor changes. We did add in an R references that it requires a registration, and we'll see that when we get to the tables here. So in the tables, we updated those. All those are just either better clarification of what uses are allowed or make a connection to section 911, which we'll get to here in a little bit. And off to kind of the more left side, you can see where all the permits were replaced with Rs, because those smaller feedlot sizes by 7020 don't require a permit, they require to be registered. And our ordinance references 7020. So we made that clarification that it's not a permit, it's a registration. So that's where those updates come from. The stars off to the side are just consistent throughout Shoreland, and they reference a little further down that registered feedlots as of July 1st of '06 can expand up to 1,000 animal units with a conditional use permit. That was always in there. Yeah,
What's the
sure.
difference between a registration and a permit?
Sure. Maybe Deja could better explain that. Okay, if you want to come up here. Just so we make sure we get it accurate.
A registration is basically an inventory of animals on site, acknowledging that the county understands that this site exists. A permit comes into play in several different ways. If we go out on site and we find that they are non-compliant, then they need to move into what's called an interim permit to give them some time to come into compliance, and that's usually up to 2 years. A construction short form permit is for people building or adding new. And then, of course, you have your conditional use permits. So all of our, 1,400 sites in the county have been inventoried and they are registered. Some do currently have active permits. Conditional use permits are lifelong permits with the property.
Okay.
Okay, continue on here. Okay, the other thing I wanted to point out, Denise, if you could go back to kind of the top of the chart there, the A2 portion in rural town site, I just wanted to note that, and when we get to 911, I'll make the connection as to what the change was there. At the bottom of the chart, we remove some kind of useless language, such as domestic animals would only be allowed in rural town site and urban growth. We don't have an urban growth district defined right now. And we updated some language just for better clarification of how that would be enforced. Yeah, those are just some updates to match the registration and the other things we had talked about up there. And that's just the chart there, so we can pop back to those use tables at any time. Now for the actual section 911, the feedlot ordinance. Sections A through G had no changes at all. Sections formerly H and I reference similar things, so we pulled them together into a single statement because we already have a section in the ordinance, section 507, that references land use permits. So we brought those together. And then sections formerly would be J, K, had no changes. And just to note, the lettering on the side is all gonna be goofy in this track changes stuff. It'll be you'll wanna look at the next document to see which section actually matches the final version. But the numbering isn't as important as the language.
Adam, if we could, I'd like to
yeah.
go back to E.
E, yes.
Yes. And I like to make that language a little bit stronger for, it says there will be from time to time, sight, smells, sounds of ag.
Okay.
I would like to take out from time to time. I think it should be there will be sights, sounds, and smells associated with ag. And I
Okay.
think that puts a lot stronger emphasis on people wanting to build in ag.
Sure, okay. This, again, just like the last one, will be on the next board agenda,
Yeah.
so that, I will note that, and then we'll have to have that discussion when you're taking up the decision at that time. But I will note that here. Okay, thank you. I'm going really fast, so please continue to
Adam,
stop me, yeah.
Just for clarification purposes, Commissioner Becker will have to bring that up, or will you bring that to her attention?
Well, I think the board has to make that recommendation.
That's what I
'cause
thought.
I'm not the decision maker. It can go back to the planning commission. We don't run into any 1599 or 60-day stuff with ordinance amendments. You can take the time you need to make the decision, right? So I think we can have that discussion next meeting, but I'll note that, and then I guess next meeting again would
Well, we
be
got,
sure to bring that
can't we
up.
make a decision now?
We can't make a
can't. It's
decision
a
in work
plan.
session.
Oh, work
Work
session, sorry.
session.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Madam
behind-
Chair,
I'm
if you're, Madam Chair,
Yeah.
but can you redline it and put a note on that we discussed that at a work session? Because this is what a work session is.
Oh,
Yeah.
right,
We're
that's why I'm
working-
noting it. I'm just saying we gotta
You just
bring
made
it
it
up
sound
again.
like,
Oh,
though, that
Yeah.
it wouldn't be updated,
Oh.
and so when you bring it next week at a meeting
Sure,
or 2 weeks,
yes.
that
Oh.
Barb has to remember to say that. And I'm saying,
Right.
you're gonna redline this now, because we're
Yes.
working on a working document.
Right, and I crossed it out as a reminder to update
Thank
that,
you.
so, and I'll make that note somehow, so,
Thank you.
okay.
Thank you, yeah.
Okay, and I think we were on to the next page, because formerly J and K had no changes. Some of this was repetitive language. The main set piece of section, which would be formerly L, was that only referenced a construction short form permit in the past needed to be submitted to the county. Even in a case where you had an NPDS permit application, our ordinance required a different permit application, which didn't make any sense and requiring kind of dual application. So we cleaned that up, that they need to submit whatever the appropriate application is. And even if they're applying for an NPDS permit to the state, this says that they need to submit a copy of that permit application to the county also. So that's the major change there. And then as we move down, I think we gotta go all the way to what would be O. Yes, these are the next changes. A lot of this was just clarification or cleanup, or the first part, just clarifying that that new liquid manure storage structures and capacity modifications to existing ones need to have 12-month storage. You can see before it just said that just new ones do, but now we're defining that, saying if you have a pit, you're expanding your feedlot, so now you need to expand your manure storage, you need to expand that to 12-month storage. There was just some clarifying language in the "and" existing part, go down to part, what would that be, 4? All new liquid manure storage basins must be fenced. And and we removed the part about manure application agreements needing to be for at least 4 years. That's just an unrealistic expectation for manure application agreements, and the feedlot or 70/20 requires or has all those requirements for manure application. We just added in additional types of manure storage in section, what would that be, 6? Going into part formerly P, we added in that the 25 chickens or 20 rabbits could be, you could have them in rural town site in addition to shoreland or R2 zones. Shoreland is arguably just as densely residential as a rural town site, but it certainly is more sensitive area, so it didn't really make sense to not allow it in a rural town site scenario, so we added that piece in there. And then the last part was just the addition of that statement that the owner must maintain compliance with the feedlot rules if they're using that feedlot or historic feedlot clause there at the end. And then the whole next section is just all that cleaned up into, the clean readable version. But those are just a quick run through of all the changes.
Commissioners? Comments?
I think it cleaned some things up. It's in the right
Bring
direction.
it back to the next, or to the board meeting then? On the 21st?
That would be the next step, and I'll note your recommended change there.
Okay,
But otherwise, I'd bring exactly what you saw there to be adopted or denied, whatever decision you make, but with the inclusion of your recommendation there also. Okay.
Okay.
No other questions?
nope.
And then next topic was Long Lake Higgins.
Yeah,
Did you want John and Bob's here from the
Yeah.
lake also? I don't know if you want the whole gang to come up
That's
right
all
away
right.
or,
Yeah.
okay, sure.
if they'd like to
Yeah, if
join
wanna
you.
come up, John, you can too, just so everybody's here to, here, let's slide these down.
Next to you.
Yours and you steal that one. Okay, so, this was back, I forget what meeting it was, in October of last year. This is just a copy of the minutes from that. The lake is looking to kind of move forward here. And so really what we're just looking for is to have a discussion or get some clarification from the board on, where the county stands. I know that the lake has requested for the county to take on the project, but that wasn't the impression I was getting that was actually gonna happen. And if you read the language of the minutes here, it's indicating that there is a possibility that the county would be willing to take on the 1.4 million. So we're really just here for more or less a yes or a no. I understand we're not making decisions here, but clarification as to what the decision was, and really so the lake can know what their next steps are, because they need to get moving on the project to make sure that they don't run any timing issues with the funding. I don't know if you guys had any other stuff to add, but that's really what we're looking for, is that the lake is just needs the direction to move forward.
Okay,
Go ahead.
Madam Chair. Yeah, we've been sitting on this for a while, and we'd like to get it somewhat resolved. I pulled the grant up, or the notification that the representatives passed, and what Representative Poston requested, and that was for a grant for the Sauk River Watershed District to design, construct, and equip the gravity outlet conveyance system, including an upstream control structure at the outlet location, and then direct it to Sauk Lake. The hard part is Representative Poston passed away, so we can't get him down here to tell you guys his intent. But his intent was the 1.4 was more than what the estimate was, because the estimate come in from WSN, when you guys did a preliminary estimate, was just a little over $1 million. So he threw in another 400,000 just on a whim, saying, hey, we get it, we get it, we don't. Well, he got it. And for me, as the commissioner representing that district, when I read this, it tells me that the Sauk River watershed is to design and construct, okay? And it doesn't say about additional bonding or anything. It just says design and construct. So I don't know how we're gonna get this resolved. But when it says design, construct, and equip a gravity outlet conveyance system, and the money was issued to the Sauk River Watershed District to do that. So John, I don't know, you know, 103, I mean, we can go back and say, I talked to Nancy already saying, well, maybe we start another new county ditch, okay? She come back to me and said, no, that would be the watershed's responsibility. Okay?
Yeah.
So,
Madam Chair, Commissioner Newman, the legislation does appropriate $1.4 million to the Sauk River Watershed District to design, construct, and operate an outlet. It does not say we can deviate from watershed district law in establishing this as a project. We have a procedure in 103D which requires a project can be initiated one of two ways. It can be initiated by resolution of the board, unanimous resolution or majority resolution, I don't remember which one it is, of the board to initiate the project, or it can be petitioned. The project can be petitioned to the board where there's petition requirements for a certain number of signatures, and then a bond needs to be posted with that petition to cover costs if the project is not constructed or our contract isn't awarded. We, as a watershed district, the board has stated that they will not initiate a project by resolution if the project is going to involve an assessment area, okay? And in this case, a project would involve establishing an assessment area to maintain it for, if nothing else. The $1.4 million appropriation was based on an estimate that the landowners got from a contractor to install a tiled outlet to this lake. The estimate was $1.389 million. The appropriation was for 1.4. We used the 1.389 million to determine any additional costs that would be incurred to build this project, and we estimated this. A final engineer's design was included in that estimate. A process to establish the assessment area, the permitting process, and then kind of a catch-all and administrative fee or cost that typically happens when you establish projects like this, a certain percentage of it. We estimate the cost of this project to be around 1.8, okay? We were not consulted before Representative Poston put in a bill for a dollar amount, and I firmly believe had we had that 1.8 million in his hands before he submitted the bill for that, they'd have got it. But then we could have also had that legislation state something to the effect that you don't need to follow your initiation process in 103D. But that didn't happen. That being said, if the county chooses to take this project on and be the lead on this, we are more than happy to partner with the county and be the fiscal agent on it and make sure the money is available. Unfortunately, the statute appropriation is an appropriation to the watershed district. We cannot, and I've been told this by the State Department of Minnesota Management and Budget, they will not issue us a grant agreement until we have the formal resolution to establish this as a project by either the county or the watershed district or whoever. And their concern is, okay, so they give us access to this money and we go out and we design this, jump through the hoops to get it permitted, get an assessment area put together, and for some reason, something happens where we can't award a contract to build this. Now we've spent an estimated $265,000 to get it to that point and we can't build it. The state's going to want their money back. They aren't interested in risking an investment into this project without having some guarantee that it's going to get built. So my concern is that, okay, we run into a snag. We don't think we're going to. We think this project is a good project and we think we can get it built. But if we run into a snag and it can't be built, where do we come up with the money to give back to the state? That's the concern. That's why you post a bond. A bond is an insurance policy, and if the project moves forward, the bond is released.
And realistically, 28 people aren't gonna be able to come up with $250,000 or $280,000.
They're
That's
not.
unrealistic unless you spread it out over the next 100 years, and who knows by then who will be here? Nobody.
They don't need to come up with that, though. Remember, Commissioner Newman, they have to come up with the amount, like the $4,000 to $8,000 to
the
cover
cost
that
of the
insurance bond.
Right, you're talking for the cost of the bond.
Yes, yep. They don't come up with the 265. They come up with the 8,000. The 265 covers him in the event, or us in the event that that the project doesn't go through. So the county would have money to give back. If the county takes it on, the county would need a bond. If these guys take it on, they would need a bond. The only way that they would be responsible, and please jump in and correct, is if it failed and Sauk River Watershed District went back on, or filed their insurance for this, they get paid, the insurance company would come back on those landowners for the $265,000 if the project didn't go through.
So Ranky Newton wanted like what, 90,000 or 100,000 to do this project? What was it?
The engineer is at $95,000.
Yeah, 95,000 just off the get-go. That's the attorney fees.
No, that's the
Oh,
engineer fees.
that's engineer.
The legal fees are required because we have land rights we have to acquire, and there's a process to follow to acquire those land rights. There's a fee associated with having some legal counsel involved in that. There's also the payment to the landowners to do so. You got to pay them for the right to cross their property. So that cost is incorporated in there. Just to add on to Deja's comments about the bond requirement, when the petitioners will go to acquire a bond, they're buying an insurance policy and they pay a portion of that in a premium. What'd you say, $4,000 to $8,000 is what they would pay to buy that bond. The petitioners would not be responsible for the full $265,000 unless the project is not built and we have to collect for reimbursement of the expenses that were incurred on developing it to that point, okay? So whatever it might be, we estimate it to be a maximum of $265,000. At that point, then they would be responsible for that amount of money. If the project is built, our estimated cost for doing this project exceeds the appropriation that was put out by the state of Minnesota as well. So if we do build the project, there's going to be some additional cost. I don't know what that would be right now, but my estimate is it's going to be another $300,000 to $400,000 over the appropriation, okay? The landowners are responsible for that portion. So in one way or another, the landowners will end up putting some money into it unless we get extremely low bids and things go extremely well. But when you put an estimate together for a project like this as a public entity, you do so conservatively so that when the numbers come in below that, it's a pleasant surprise. If you you guys know as well as I do, if you end up doing a project and you go over budget, boy, you catch all sorts of heck from people. You can't stay in budget. Well, the way we address that is we try to consider all expenses that we could incur, and we put out there what we think the maximum amount is gonna be, and that's what we did. So in either way it's done, we think the cost is gonna be more than $1.4 million to get this all completed through the proper processes. And the landowners are gonna be on the hook for some additional costs. And depending on how important it is to the landowners to move this project forward, they're gonna wanna post some sort of an insurance policy to whatever organization, whether it's the county or the watershed district, to make sure that they've got some skin in the game and they really want it to happen. Todd County doesn't wanna go back to their constituents throughout the whole county to recover any costs if it doesn't get built, because it doesn't really benefit anybody else in the county other than the folks on the lake. So we're in the same boat.
So my next question would be the one watershed, one plan. Why can't we utilize this as a project with the one watershed, one plan? The other thing would be, you made a statement here earlier, and I do sit on that committee. You spent over $2 million west of Lake Osakis buying up easements to better the water quality on Lake Osakis, okay? So where did that funding go? And if you can get funding for that project, why can't you fund this project?
We're talking two different kinds of projects here. We're talking a water level control project versus a habitat and water quality project. Long Higgins Lake has got pretty good water quality, and it's worth protecting. And what we're talking about and the problem to resolve on Long Higgins Lake is a water quantity issue, which they have no reasonable outlet and they have a flooding problem around their lake. Funding that we've acquired for over in the Osakis area has come from the Lessard Sam's Outdoor Heritage Council. That's a program that focuses on habitat and environment and water quality. They likely wouldn't fund an application for a grant to control water levels on lake, a lake in the area. The other thing is Long Higgins is it's not identified specifically in our plan as maybe being in a priority area. Our WBIF money from the comp plan is focused primarily on 6 different sub-watersheds in the watershed area. And the entire collaboration has to agree to do something like that, and I don't believe they would agree.
Deja?
Yes, I just have a presentation that I had put together for Chris Pelzer that I think were presented to some of you at some point last fall. The Clean Water Funds for One Watershed, One Plan in Minnesota statutes cannot provide funding for flood damage projects not caused by land or resource use. So that is why we couldn't apply the One Watershed, One Plan funding to Lake Chaminade and the Long Prairie, and we cannot do that for the Higgins Long either. So that's just something to keep in mind. Reiterating what he is saying is that the One Watershed, One Plans are not for flood control or flood damage.
Hi, I'm Bob Flurkey, property owner on Higgins, or Long Lake. And we could come up with I got about an estimate $5,300 for a $265,000 bond, which we could come up with that. It's just we can't come up with it, the people signing their names to possibly be on the hook for $265,000. So we got to get it to bid to find out where we're at. The guy who bid it originally, well, he was, like John said, right at 1 million. And then the second time he bid it, he said he bid it high at 1.4 using a 24-inch pipe. Since then, I've got 3 more bids from him, 12-inch, 15-inch, and an 18-inch pipe. And the 12-inch, if it'll flow through 12-inch, that's all through the engineering, it was $300,000 less than the 1.4. And I got the exact bid and figures here. So we don't even know how much it's gonna cost. We don't know how much to fundraise, how much to do any, grants, to do anything until we get it to bid. And that's our biggest problem. We gotta get it to bid first.
And that includes getting that design plan. So the way to best think of it, for those of you who are familiar to clean the the soil and water cost share, is we need an engineer design plan. We only have a preliminary engineer design plan. We need a full design plan so that the grant agreement can get in place. We need to make a grant agreement for this bond. So yes, the bond's out there, but the grant agreement hasn't been signed. So just like any other soil and water project, you need the engineer design done so that we can do that. So the bond isn't available until a grant agreement occurs. So all of these expenditures, which I handed out to Commissioner Newman and Commissioner Becker at a smaller meeting, I have these if any of the other commissioners want them. We have, again, reiterating the stuff that still needs to get done is the certified engineer design plan, permits, landowner support and easements. We have land acquisition costs. And just so the other commissioners here, if you decide to take on this project and support that, they're also asking us to do the Sauk River watershed, which you can assign that project to us, to do the work and the technical pieces of it. So when I sat down, minus what he sat down and said, okay, if we're gonna have to ask for a bond, what are we going to ask for as a county to protect our constituents? Without even looking, I wrote the numbers down. And I couldn't believe it. It came to $265,000. So either way, unless you guys want to go bondless and just take the risk, whether you accept it or Sauk River Watershed District takes it on, there's going to be a bond that's needed ASAP just to get this work started.
So, Madam Chair, I can't go to Representative Weiner and ask him for additional funding unless we get this thing out for bids, okay? Once we have an idea what the bid is gonna be, I can go back to him, ask him for more additional funding through the state, but I can't do that until we know a number. I'm not gonna just throw a number out in the air and say, well, geez, Mike, you wanna go for this?
Right, so you need that design plan so you know what the number actually is.
So,
and the engineer right now has come back and said about $95,000 to get that design plan out to you.
Yep.
We weren't going to jump into this financially because we're not bankers for the county, because we feel we can build blocks for everybody to have problems. But I'm just telling you what you had said last fall, just to put some thoughts into it.
And that's why we're here for clarification. Say yes or no, because these guys are at an emergency point in this plan. They need an answer.
and Madam Chair, I got a call from Julie Ring, our AMC director, on Friday, and we had a half-hour conversation on this. This is a very unique situation throughout the state, and I mean, she's had staff working on this for the last 3 months, trying to figure out how we can get this thing resolved. But it really goes back to getting it out for bids, so we get a number, so we can ask for more funding from the state.
Madam Chairman,
Yes
I'm going
or
to back
no?
up a little bit here, and the process outlined in 103D to establish a project is first you get a petition and a bond set by the board on based on an estimate of what it's going to take to get it done, okay? When you get that bond and that petition, you initiate the project. Then You do your preliminary design, your engineering design, and with that engineering design comes an estimate of cost. Okay? You have your full estimate of cost, then you go start looking for the money. Okay? What happened here is we had an estimate from a contractor on what it was going to take to put this thing in the ground without the engineering, without the additional land costs, without the additional administrative costs, permitting, all of that included in there. And kudos to Representative Poston, he got an appropriation of money, but it came before the horse. That's the cart that came before the horse. We didn't have enough background done to make sure we got the right appropriation. That's why I stated earlier, had we known that our estimate was gonna be maybe 1.75, and he put it in the bill, we'd have got it. So right now, we're just in a conundrum because it got done a little bit out of order. And we still have to follow the process. The bond would still be required whether we had this appropriation or not in order for the watershed district to initiate the project. And I would believe that if the county were to take it on and do that, you would want to follow a similar process to have this bond. What we're hung up on is the bond. And that's just the guarantee that you're protecting the citizen, the rest of the citizens in your jurisdiction from having to foot a bill on something that doesn't even pertain to them. That's the bottom line. That's how it works. And that's how we typically establish projects. I worked to establish a project out in the Red River Valley that was a $20 million flood control project. And we followed that process. We had an estimate of cost before we went to the legislature to ask for money for it. And we had all the costs incurred, or that we expected to be incurred on that list, a full budget.
And what I'm saying, I think, is because I want these people to be able to get this done, and they do have a deadline approaching, is that all of the great ideas that Randy's researching and stuff potentially can still happen and maybe put less risk on them. But the county either has to decide, yes, we're going to do it, or they're going to hand it over to Sauk River Watershed District. We can't do anything if they're still out there hoping the county's going to keep going. If we know Sauk River's going to do it, then we start tackling the solutions. But we can't, that's all we're here today. County, are you going to sponsor this? And if county says no, based on what the last October discussion was, then we have a clear path to go for. And that's all the landowners basically are asking at this point, is the county and the SWCD going to propel this forward? Or do we have the capacity to do that? Do we have the fiscal ability? Do we have that knowledge? Or are we going to hire our tool, or not hire, but assign the tool to the Sauk River Watershed District and try to work with Representative Wiener and other ways to help the community go forward with their plan on Higgins Long. So that's really all we're asking for today, is a clarification of what that statement meant, because we didn't, Adam and I could have turned to them and said, no, that's not what the county wanted, but we don't want to speak for you. We're here for clarification.
Can somebody tell me what kind of risk there would be? If we get the bond for 265, what would make this not go through? Does anybody know, or John?
I created some lists of where the stopping points would be, but I can't tell you, I can't tell you that it would happen, but one would be if there's an incomplete engineer design plan. And that doesn't sound like that's gonna happen, okay? The other would be the inability to acquire the land for the easement. So that is kind of in your wheelhouse, what you know, what your relationship is with those landowners. And the third one would be if there was some sort of permitting hold or denial. What we've heard from the DNR is they have about a $25,000 permit that they're potentially looking at, and they have nothing to stay against this at this time. They have nothing to stay, they're fairly neutral. there might be some additional permitting just because of the fish habitat is all I've heard.
So the risk should be fairly low, I would guess. We talked to all the landowners and all of them are for it. One is okay for it, he wants to be paid. The other 7 don't. But if you pay one, you pay all, I would guess.
And that's where that $90,000 came up with land acquisition, so we could pay him and we as a team, not us,
You know,
would work that way.
I wasn't here back in October, but from what I'm hearing right now, I'm a little bit miffed, if that's a word. To me, it's a word, miffed. I'm a little bit miffed that we've got potential, understand that sizing of the pipe would make a huge difference. But, I mean, how can we be 30-some, maybe 40% range in the cost of this thing? So I mean, I'm going, okay, so anybody in the county, we gotta take on this bond, I understand the process, but man, that seems like a big swing to me. 30 to 40% cost estimate difference?
That's all the size of the pipe.
Yeah, obviously, I mean, yeah, steel's not cheap and.
No, it'd be plastic, poly
whatever you got.
pipe, but it's all the size of the pipe. But that's just a guess. Those estimates are no good because we gotta get the engineering drawing
Right.
first, so they can size the pipe.
So we can have contractors that come in and they'll do, and we have wonderful contractors, and they'll come in for a landowner and they'll do something that's not to spec per se, but it doesn't matter because they're not getting cost share on it, okay? But when it's engineer designed, it has to be to spec to show that it's actually going to function. Nobody cares if that landowner installs a 1-inch pipe and then it backs up their pond on their land. They paid for it. That was their mistake. That's where the difference is coming from. The contractor saying if you get a 12-inch pipe, and we're talking Higgins long, draining through a 12-inch pipe, I highly doubt it.
It'd take a lot longer time.
It might still flood.
It's like running a garden hose through it versus yeah, I get it. I mean, I
Right.
get that part of it. I just.
Yeah, so the contractor's the one that's saying, hey, it could be, and bless his heart, he's trying to be helping people, but
Well, that's helpful, Deja. I appreciate it because you hear a number like 300-some thousand on 12-inch pipe, but you're kind of telling me that's not gonna happen. 12-inch pipe's not gonna happen. So let's just throw that out. There's no $300,000 savings, okay? Probably, from our staff, who I think I rely upon them for their expertise. So we're not talking back down to the million, whatever it was. It's gonna be, I don't want roses, okay? Give me the manure and let me sift through it.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's possible, because our lake does stay stable. It's only when we get a 4 or 5-inch rain, it'll come up. So even if it takes a year to drain it, everybody's fine with that. It's just to maintain it. And that's where the engineering has to come in. And talking to Pete Sarberg from Widseth, it is possible, but he's not gonna give an answer, but there's also the option of 15, 18, and the biggest bid was on the 24-inch. So, yeah, we don't know. You could be right.
Okay,
Have to see.
John?
We don't know.
comments?
Thank you, Madam Chair. My recollection is the only reason that the Todd County Board of Commissioners got involved in this matter in the first place was because there's part of a statute that says, regarding bonding, if a project petition is signed by a county board or governing body of a city, a bond is not required. So that was enticing to people who wanted to avoid having to secure a bond. What I'm hearing today is that they're gonna need a bond anyway. So with that being said, why is the county messing around with this?
Okay.
Madam Chair, if I may, so my understanding is either we do the bond or Sauk River does the bond. Now, is there a chance if we say we don't want to have that liability on our county as a whole and Sauk River, we pass it to them? Is there a chance they say the same thing? we don't want to have a responsibility on Sauk River Watershed District as a whole, and then these guys get stalled again. And that's,
The Sauk River Watershed District has made it clear on record that we will move this project forward upon the receipt of the adequate petition and the bond that needs to go with it according to the statute. When we get the bond, our citizens in the entire watershed district are not on the hook for any of those expenses. The petitioners are on the hook because it's going to benefit them. The same thing would be true for you if you took on the project and you would require a bond so that those petitioners would be on the hook for the expenses, not your entire county. If you signed on to the petition as a petitioner and in an effort to relieve the bond requirement, that means that Todd County is backing this petition up with a promise to pay if the project doesn't get built, okay? And that means it's coming back from your constituents in Todd County. That's what it means, I believe. That's what my attorney tells me.
Yeah.
So,
and I believe that's why we went the route we went the
Yep.
last time, because we don't want it to lie on our constituents as a whole.
Exactly.
So I mean, if their lake is willing to take that risk, and as landowners, they're willing to take that risk on the bond, that's up to them, not us particularly.
And the bond itself that Mr. Poston, or Representative Poston did, he had number 14 in there, at least the copy I have, that said, "We, the petitioners, will pay all costs and expenses that may be incurred if proceedings are dismissed or a construction or implementation contract is not awarded." So at least on this draft here that I have, it's stated state of Minnesota
That's
bond.
draft petition language that the landowners asked us to assist with, so our legal counsel drafted this to meet
Okay.
statutory requirements, yes.
But we would not sign as a petitioner.
Pardon me?
That's Todd County.
Right.
That leaves us off the hook. I mean, we can support it all we want, but we just can't sign as a petitioner.
That's correct. And that's, we just needed, they came to the Soil and Water and asked for our participation. Well, we would need your approval to do that. So that's why we're bringing it back, just to make sure, so that these guys are clear on the method or the procedure they need to go forward with, and that we can start looking at other ways to help them earn that bond or to convince landowners, get the confidence in landowners to sign on.
So I just have one question. So if the 9 managers voted unanimously to approve this, then it would have went through, right? And then if it was an 8-1 vote, correct?
I'm not clear on the statute. Maybe your county attorney can look it up quick while he's there and see what the requirement is. Like I said, there's 2 ways to initiate a project. You can do it by resolution of the board, and I'm not sure how many votes it takes to get that. If it's just unanimous or if it's a majority. The other way is to be petitioned and post a bond, and then the board initiates it by a resolution with a bond.
Okay.
And Madam Chair, 103D.701 does require it does require unanimous resolution of the managers of the watershed district.
It does?
By 1.
So it failed by 1 vote.
Yep, 1 vote. And I don't know if that was a Stearns County vote?
No matter who it is, it's 8,
But still.
that's crazy.
Yep.
Chair, I'm not sure there was ever a vote, to make the record clear, and John can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not sure that Sauk River Watershed District managers ever voted on this.
Yeah, they did.
We did not have a resolution to initiate this project in front of the board and take a vote on that. What they stated at their meeting, and I'll pull the minutes back up for you people to see if you like, was that, and it was Manager Hartman that made the statement, If this is gonna involve an assessment area on the landowners around this lake, we want to know that they are in favor of it, and the way they do that is sign the petition. So if they come with a petition, as outlined in the process, why it's outlined in the statute that way, you know you have landowner support that they're willing to be assessed, okay? He said, I would not vote in favor of initiating a project by resolution of this board without knowing that the landowners want it, and the way we know that they want it is they need to give us a petition with their name on it. That's where it's at.
Thank you. We people appreciate that.
So we did get a petition that, not everybody, we only had 10 days to do it, but we did get a petition for the people in favor of it. We didn't go down the road, would you sign this bond for $265,000, because we kind of knew what the answer would be.
What percentage of people have to be on that petition?
I believe it's
For the-
51%.
51%?
We're
Yes.
way over that. I can't remember, I'd have to count them here, how many. There's,
So all you need is his petition he's holding there?
We
And
need
the
the
bond.
petition with language in it that meets state requirements, and we drafted that for folks to read, because the petition draft that we provided them states specifically that you may have to pay an assessment. There's potential additional costs that you might be responsible for, and they need to know that up front before they sign their name. I'm not sure what his petition language is.
According to your board action in October, which I have
Yeah.
pulled up and I swing it over here, it's 51%.
Yep.
I show that we have 21 signatures out of 26.
And that's where I've told them that not me, but the Soil and Water would help and kind of present information and clarification, maybe with the Sauk River Watershed District too, to make sure all the landowners exactly, very clearly understood what they were getting themselves into or what they were supporting, in hopes that we would get even more support on there. So we're willing to do those pieces to help them.
And from hearing everything that's going on, I think that's the direction you have to be going in.
have to go that way.
You're going to just have to, yeah.
You'll have to hold their hand through it, yes.
Yeah.
And no offense to them, but they don't deal with the process and they don't have the resources
Yep.
that you do.
And you can
Yep.
help.
And Commissioners, the Watershed District is not trying to stop this project. The Watershed District is trying to guide the folks to do it through the proper steps in the statute. So that because if you don't, you got one landowner hanging out there, if you don't cross a T and they're upset about it and they find out, then you're in for a lawsuit, and boy, them costs get high. We want to make sure we do this right. We do a good project for the landowners. We provide the benefits that they're looking for, and do it in such a way that everything is upfront and out, and there's no surprises in the end. We'll do everything we can to help with that. I made a promise to Megan Jacob, who is Bob's daughter. I said, you get the funding, and we'll do everything we can to help you build this project. They got a portion of the funding, but I wasn't expecting it to happen the way it did, and we got it a little bit backwards. So now we have to back up a little bit, put this process together the right way. And I would think we could get to a point where we say, okay, now we know kind of what we're gonna be charged for building this project, what it's gonna cost. We got a 1.4 million of it right here. Can we go back to the representative and say, hey, we need an additional chunk and this is why? He probably put it on the table and see if we can get it. You know, then it would take the burden off those landowners. But in the meantime, we have to assume the worst, and it's gonna be on those landowners.
And we'll just have to unite to help get this project completed. And
Yeah.
We feel it's a good project. We don't see much for a roadblock coming forward, but we don't know what could happen until we get there.
Okay.
The answers you needed?
you feel.
Not the ones
do
you
you-
wanted.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you have any other questions? No. Okay. Is there anything else otherwise?
On that one.
Okay.
I guess we're good.
Well,
Thank you.
Yeah.
we certainly aren't completely stepping away. We'll be right there to help out in any way we can. We're good partners with Sauk River, so it'll be a partnership moving forward.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank
thank you.
Thanks for doing all that.
Thank you for.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yep. We're going to just take a few minute break.
Sure.
That was a long one.
Yeah. This one will be quick now, though.
Non-Berry Lake Association.
Yeah.
Good job.
Way to generate revenue.
It is, it is.
His petition, their
So-
guidance.
Felt like we were.
Soil and water could
It's-
not
it's a good discussion.
be
I
able to
like
really
that.
step up and help because you're under the county, correct?
Right, so what we would do is just do like presentations and
The
help.
presentations, getting it, helping him get it moving forward.
Right, we can't do in the technical work. We don't have the capacity for it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Also, the soil and water doesn't have taxing authority, so if it came to a point where we had to like assess landowners,
Yeah, you
that would, it wouldn't be the soil and water having the ability to recoup those funds.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah. Really, it has to go that way.
Level being high is not good for the lake anyway.
Right.
You're getting a lot more inputs due to that.
Yeah.
You know, it's running into homes and
Yeah.
properties that are eroding because of it, wave action and all that stuff that wouldn't normally be, even though it's in good condition now.
Right.
Not be in 5 or 10 years.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what our approach was, is like, once we get that under control, we can start working on the stuff that's
Right,
now
well, yeah.
underwater.
And,
Yeah.
you know, I hope to hell they can get it for a 12-inch pipe, but that doesn't sound big enough, but
Yeah. so
if
my
you got
hope
that
is that
12-inch
the-
pipe in during a dry time of the
maybe-
year,
maybe we are
it
looking
may
at
help
that
to
more.
regulate it. I just don't know if the influx, how fast it can jump in a month,
Yeah,
if that pipe can keep up with that.
I know.
You know, that's the engineer's job, though. is
Right,
just to figure that out.
exactly.
It's just a tough
It is.
situation.
It is, and it's hard, but
It's hard
we
for us.
were,
We can't blame the county on it. We just can't.
no. And I think you guys handled it the way you
feasibility
should.
20-some
Yeah.
people is all it is.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yep, no. And I think they just needed to hear it, because they were holding on and holding on and holding on.
But they needed to hear this.
They need to move. Yeah.
Okay. We'll go on to the soil health position.
Yes, we brought this to the Personnel Committee last Monday, and presented this position, and I need to come here for the full board to see. We included everything in the board packet there. It's a grant-funded position. I don't know if there's more, do you want to add into it? You're the one that put a lot of this stuff together here. We'll use the existing job description for our resource conservationists, but all the funding is being provided to support the position. Go ahead, Deja.
So, yeah, you guys, just what he said, the reason, the ask and why it's necessary, the job description, and there was the costs. There would be actually potential benefit to the county as far as funding, because NRCS is housing this position, providing the vehicle. We have $10,000 to get a computer and a tablet for this individual. All the printing I have, they're providing the square footage for seating, mileage, computer seat, in exchange for 120 hours of conservation planning is all they're asking for. I have the contract right here, and the grant was awarded for 3 years by Bowser. And then it is a shared position between Wadena, East Otter Tail, and Todd County, but Todd County would have the benefit of housing them here in our community. And it's for soil health. And then 3 years from now, we're already starting to work in a group to see ways in which we can fund that position into perpetuity.
So we're here just if there was any questions, comments, or anything related to it. Otherwise, we just want to present it, and I will get it on the agenda for next meeting to approve moving forward with.
And basically, you're doing the steps as a new position, because this is a new position to the county, per se.
Yes, but it's,
We're
not
doing
a,
the steps we're doing.
you're exactly right. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not a different job description, though.
No, it will lay into the same type, but it is a new position.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yep.
Madam Chair? Yeah.
Yes.
So in this position, now they're gonna be housed in Todd County at the NRCS office over there.
Yep.
And this is 100% funded by USDA at the moment?
So it's through the Bowser.
Oh, it's through Bowser.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not funded by USDA. They're just offering their match basically
Yeah.
as the seat and the vehicle and all. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Got
Yep.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I
That's-
know.
mean, if
It's a
if
dream.
If they're gonna give it to, we gotta take it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I always ask too from financial and budget and planning, that when this is advertised, that the individual realizes this is a 3-year grant, and when grant money is gone, if there's no necessary funding, they are out of job.
Yes.
As many
Yeah.
jobs as there are in the conservation field right now, they won't have a problem finding one. I promise you that.
Right.
There every other week, there's 2 or 3 come up new.
Yeah.
We've been down this road before where we've had
Mhm.
positions that
Yep.
end up being a county job for life then, and it's like, we never planned on funding that, how did this happen?
We had like, when we hired the nutrient management specialist, it was that same thing. Fortunately, the funding started coming forward even into some perpetuity, and then we had an opening, so we could split that position. Yeah.
And I know it does work out, which is great. I just have to state that.
And it'll be in there, it'll be in the job description, so they're aware as well.
Okay. Any questions about this? Otherwise, we'll have them bring it to the May, is it 21st meeting?
21st.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you,
All right.
guys.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nellie? Personnel.
All right, so we are here bringing a possible policy revision. Policy met last week, was it? Yeah. And we discussed to update the section in regards to interviews and the interview panel. Kind of the background on this is we've had other departments who have requested to have union members in on interview panel or interviews, which we have no policy on it. It's not usually a practice we do, and we've had some pushback in regards to why we can't allow union members in on interviews. And so section C, no. Oh, Denise, I sent you the updated one. Sorry. I'm like, there's supposed to be a D on there. That one, there you go. Yeah, so we moved what was D down and added C in there.
So A and B and D remained the same.
Yeah.
Right. Mhm. So in reaching out to our other county counterparts, they stated too that we should probably have better clarifying language about that because it really wasn't addressed in the original verbiage.
And I know when we met in policy, everybody was okay with it in policy also.
Mhm.
That
Yes.
change.
Madam Chair, I sit on policy.
Yep.
And I sit during, labor negotiations, and it's just not acceptable to have a union person sitting in an interview.
Like a union steward you're talking
Yeah.
about? Okay.
And especially when they're in the same labor group as someone we're potentially hiring. You're essentially hiring your coworkers, which isn't. Yeah, because then you could have bias in there. You could, I mean.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
To complicate things, but don't we have, I'm thinking of the jail, sheriff's office, don't we have supervisors who are union members?
Correct, but they are a supervisor. This doesn't say that they can't sit in there because they're a union member. They would be okay because they're a supervisor.
Does that need to be clarified in this?
So they're a supervisor. So it says, Human Resources Department Head, Manager, or Supervisor. Additional members may be approved by Human Resources upon request. So they would be okay because they're a supervisor. But we had other departments requesting non-supervisor union members that were in the same labor group or same union contract as them. The supervisors have their own union contract. They're not in with the employees.
Okay. Okay.
I guess for me too, that would kind of clear things up though, just to make that statement, if you put supervisors, you know, in parentheses, which may be union, you know, just to, because I mean, I get they're supervisors, but I mean, it just clears any gray area ever, if you don't think it needs to be in there.
The gray area, I think, as the policy committee looked at, would be, may be approved by human resources.
Okay.
So if there would be somebody else that would want,
They would
department
want to
head would
add.
want somebody on the panel, you would need to ask the HR and admin office.
Because I don't know that we'd want to say any non-union member, because we have non-union members who are supervisors, or who aren't supervisors.
Right.
So it's, I feel like adding the whole union, non-union could kind of muddy the water more.
Okay.
Because, like,
Nellie, my other question is, do you, or the human resource, do you want that one person to make that decision? You want the personnel to make it? I mean, how are you comfortable? You want human resources
I mean,
with
typically on
coordinator,
a,
or,
if it was super questionable, I would talk to Jackie or personnel anyways.
yeah. So should that be on there or not?
It's probably not a bad idea, Barb, though, because the fact that, I mean, it's not saying you're not responsible, we don't know who's gonna be in your position someday
Right.
either.
You know,
What if it was run not just by one person making that decision, if it came across the committee, it would probably
Yeah,
be.
I mean, I can
The personnel
add,
committee could decide
Yeah,
who's on the interview
yeah,
panel.
that's,
yeah. That's a
I
very
can
good
change
point.
that.
If we ever go, I mean, there for a while, we didn't have a coordinator, and all of
Right.
these things got tied up because there was no coordinator.
right.
When we leave things to one person, then we run into that problem of tying things
Yeah,
up.
I can certainly change that. Additional members may be approved by the personnel committee upon request.
That's what I was going to suggest.
Yeah,
Okay,
that sounds
yeah.
I
better.
think that would
Personnel
probably be better.
committee versus HR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a good suggestion.
Okay, then if we're all okay, we'll bring that to the May 21st meeting for approval? Okay,
Perfect.
All right, thank you.
okay. And I showed that the last on the agenda. So thank you, everyone.
Hey, it's only noon.
Yeah.
Bob, you missed out on breakfast.